What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, live and after show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Paul, Flatzoid, Chocolate Saiyan, Arwin, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people on Discord. Very good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello. We're going to do something slightly differently today, so I'm going to get members of the panel. Let's just check we can hear people in Discord. Can everyone in Discord hear us?
Yes.
Good. We're going to get, hopefully, a volunteer, if anybody's going to do so, to run through the housekeeping questions. Go ahead, I don't mind.
Is there any evidence of curvature?
No.
Earth base.
Well, I saw a lady this morning, and she had some pretty nice curves.
Earth-based curvature. Always.
Oh,
Because she's a lady.
well, she might become the world to me. Does that still count?
No.
Okay.
Anybody in Discord got any evidence of curve?
Exactly.
Earth curve?
Exactly. So, anybody in Discord? Any rebuttals to that? Or any evidence of Earth curve? Oh, alrighty then. Go ahead, Anthony. Or anybody else?
I was going to say, if I do them all, that means I'm increasing the risks of being challenged. So I think somebody else, 10th man, what's the next question that we ask?
Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth base variety, Arwin?
But
Anybody
what if
in
somebody
Discord?
is the world
Yeah,
to you?
why is
Could
that
you
directed at
not make
Arwin?
them as an
Anybody.
example?
Anybody at all.
Yeah, that's for everybody. But I was-
Discord.
Okay. Maybe Arwin, you'd like to ask any scientific evidence of gravity?
Oh, I discussed it very elaborately today. No. It's one of the things about gravity that is specifically absent. It's so funny, isn't it?
You're
Right.
supposed to ask the question, Arwin.
Well, there's so many indications about gravity that you can presuppose, but the one thing that doesn't really fit in there is, well, that there's actually no physical evidence of it, no real scientific evidence.
Right, who wants to ask the next one?
Is there any signs of the R value?
The what?
Right, let's just see if we can get some hellos from people in Discord.
R.
Hello,
Alright.
Dawn. Can you hear us?
I think some of these guys are listening on YouTube.
Oh, I see. That's well. Then they don't need to be in the live stream Discord room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's only 2 gaps left, so 2 more people join. I'm going to start kicking people out of the Discord server if they're not going to talk to us. It's just there so that people can join and talk.
Yeah, go and watch it in YouTube with all the other normies.
Right, exactly. Literally not a word from Discord so far.
Hello, guys. Sorry. I thought I was still muted.
All right, Dawn. Good to have you. JQ, how you doing? Can you hear us, JQ?
Limit of 10 people now in Discord.
Yeah. As many as I like in the after stream, but in the live stream section, i.e. the bit that goes out to the live stream, I just want people that are going to talk as opposed to people who are sitting around. I'm going to kick people who don't talk to the after show room. There we go. Jumped into the after show of his own volition. Okay, who wants to ask another housekeeping question? We've only got a couple more, 3 more.
Any evidence of a gas pressure without a container?
Nope. Violation of the second law of thermodynamics.
Anybody in Discord got any evidence of gas pressure without a container?
Not personally, no, not unless I use the whole of our reality.
The whole of our reality.
Your reality.
It's not really evidence I can present on a plate.
Begging the question, though, isn't it? Really, you're begging the question that there is no container, but we know that there needs to be a container to have gas pressure.
Yeah, I'm going with the theory that we don't need a container, and then I'll show evidence that air disappears as we go up, and eventually there is none.
But we can show what happens if we have gas pressure in a container and then we apply a vacuum to it. We can demonstrate that it removes the gas from the container, and you can't have gas without gas pressure without a container. We can demonstrate that. Have you seen Dr. John Dee's most recent video?
No, is that his actual name, John Dee? Because John Dee used to be an occultist.
I don't know. It's just a moccasin. It's like Dawn Treader's. I don't think Dawn Treader's your real name, though, right?
Oh, no, I was just pointing out that John Dee used to be a famous magician occultist that used to scry into an obsidian black crystal ball.
Okay, well, I don't know if it's his real name or not. I just know his moccasin is Dr. John Dee.
But I know the evidence and the experiments on Earth show that we need a container for gas pressure.
Well, do you know what he does, Dawn? He gets a nice big bell jar, fills it with smoke from tissue that he burns, and then he evacuates the bell jar with a vacuum. And what do you know? All the gas pressure that was in there in the form of smoke was removed. In fact, it's that good. It's that good.
The argument is the atmosphere isn't gas pressure. That's, it's a different situation. That's the argument.
What do you mean?
Well, yes, you're right about gas pressure needing a container on Earth in the experiments we do, but the atmosphere isn't the same as gas pressure, and we have gravity and a planet involved, so it's a different type of experiment, different situation.
But you can't prove that there's a planet involved and there's gravity involved, can you? And we know that gravity is not a force.
I can't prove these things now.
So it's a belief.
Yeah, that's the argument against that housekeeping question.
I'm sorry, I didn't see an argument against that housekeeping question.
There wasn't one.
The evidence, you are in the evidence. You have to look all around you, go up in the sky and check stuff.
Dawn, you said the atmosphere is different from gas pressure?
Yeah.
What is the atmosphere made out of?
Wait a minute, I'd like to ask Dawn a question.
Water. Matter.
Fluid is a better word.
Right.
I'm not an expert.
Gas is a better word.
Thank you.
It's made out of gas. Okay? Not fluid is a better word. It's made out of gas and gases. Okay?
Hang on, John. I need to explain, John. It was a relative state because he said water was the atmosphere, and it clearly isn't water.
It would be more accurately water vapor, but that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for gas.
I was just trying to get him back on track a little bit because. So anyway, the point is, atmosphere is still gas, Dawn, right?
Yeah, I think it falls under the category of gas.
Yeah, and you're saying it's different because there's a planet and gravity involved, but we know that there's no gravity involved because it's not a force, and we're questioning whether there's even a planet, and you can't prove that there is a planet. So we're saying until you can prove that there's a planet, then it's not a planet. So in that context, given that your points require evidence, and you know that you can't prove it, then The question then becomes, how is it any different?
Well, I can't prove that there's a planet, or I can prove there's a phenomenon called gravity involved. Well, I can give evidence, not prove.
Define gravity.
Evidence is proof.
You guys already know these things. You know there's no planet
Evidence
involved.
is
You know there's
proof.
no force involved. So let's move on to the next.
Hello. Evidence is proof. For goodness sake.
Evidence is proof.
Can you define gravity for us?
Sorry, evidence is proof now. We're going to conflate the two
No,
words
it's always been that way.
Oh, I'll look that up later, John. Maybe I'll start using both words. I don't mind.
You'll look it up. Yeah, go look it up.
So
okay, so I can prove that there's a phenomenon called gravity.
You can't. What's the definition for gravity? What kind of gravity are you talking about?
Really?
Just the phenomenon of appearance of force, attraction to Earth.
So we're not having a definition for gravity then, no?
It's my own definition.
Your own definition?
Yeah, just the appearance of a force and obvious mass being attracted to the ground.
All right, let's not have your own definition. Can we have the definition by current science for gravity, please?
Oh, we can't get lost in that. That's a rabbit hole.
At least you realise that it's a rabbit hole.
So anyway, I feel I've got evidence for the gas pressure thing, but you guys don't. So we can move on to the next house.
You got a feeling of evidence, do you?
I feel there is evidence there to be seen.
Man, it feels so evident, you know.
I think when you live in the evidence, it's quite hard to say there is no evidence.
You've got a religious belief as well, because you believe that there's a force there that's holding the atmosphere down, even though you're told there's no force, but you still believe that there's one, right?
You guys could send something up and check for the container, couldn't you, and prove it? But
no, we already been over this before, Don.
Yes.
My word.
They've got a few of the
So
newbies in Discord.
Question.
Ferris Wolf and people. Are you going to say hello? Hold on, just 1 second. Is it Ferris Wolf? Can you hear us?
Fenris. Yeah, I wasn't able to come off mute, so.
Fenris Wolf. Good to have you. Has anyone else joined?
Yeah, good to be here.
Pretty much. We've got a couple more housekeeping questions. If anyone wants to rattle them out, I want to have a bit of mercy on Dawn.
We'll just pass Dawn's comment off that he hasn't got any evidence of gas pressure without a container, but he does believe it.
I think it's there to be found, but I can't present it right now properly in the way that you want.
There
So
to
that
be
would be a
found.
no, you haven't got any.
That's called an argument from ignorance.
Okay.
So we haven't got any, have we, Dawn? Can we move on?
Yep.
We've got the sun.
Any
Go ahead,
evidence of a molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Yes.
Indeed.
I have proof that there is molten iron core, and it dates back to 1991. So I'll present it to you now, and I want Dawn. I want Dawn to tell me whether or not he accepts this standard of proof. Are you there, Dawn?
He is, but he's not going to see them, is he? Because he's in Discord. So.
Dawn, can you open up the live stream?
Don't forget to mute it.
Don't wait on me, man. I'm just here to join you.
So, Dawn, on screen now, I've got one of my primary school books from 1990 to 1991. And I was about 11 years old, I think, roughly around this time, give or take. And on Friday, the 27th of September, we did something in my primary school, and it was entitled The Earth. And I've drew out this picture, and it's a cross section of the Earth. And you can clearly see it's spherical in shape, and there's a core and an outer core and a mantle and a crust. And it says the Earth is like a huge ball or a sphere. It's made up of layers of rock. The first layer of rock is called the crust, and it is from 6 kilometers to 60 kilometers thick. We live on this. Beneath the crust is a layer called the mantle. It's nearly 3,000 kilometers thick. Near the top of the mantle, some of the rocks are so hot they have melted and become liquid. It is like hot toffee. Beneath this layer is the outer core. It is also probably made of liquid or molten iron, and is also probably about 2,000 kilometers thick. At the very center is the core itself. It is solid and made of iron and nickel. And my teacher wrote excellent, 20 out of 20. This is absolute proof that we have a molten iron core of in the center of a presupposed sphere Earth. Dawn, would you agree with me? This is an acceptable standard of proof to prove the point.
No, of course not.
No, I believe it. I believe we live on a sphere because this is the best proof I got from 1991 and I did it myself.
This is your book?
Yeah. One of my old school books. Let me turn the page and I'll show you. So on the next page, I've got, this is volcanoes. This is how volcanoes work.
Leaving some of the plate stuff, I think we can prove that there's moving plates in volcanoes, obviously. But no, I don't think you can prove that iron core is a theory. It's a hypothesis from other information, isn't it?
But I got 20 out of 20 and an excellent mark, so it must be true, right?
That's shading, though.
Check this out. We did an experiment. We did an experiment.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. You
This
know
is
what?
Fantastic. What are you talking about?
Let me just do this. Okay, there you go. Go on, Anthony.
This is fantastic. We did a test on paper aeroplanes and to see how designs changed and altered the performance of paper aeroplanes. And there's more science in here than Bob the Science Guy gives us, because we've got a list here. I've got a picture of my plane and I've got an apparatus used so that we can basically, it's a piece of paper and scissors. And this is more than what Bob the Science Guy can ever give us. We did the investigation, then we did the results. And then what I found out was that a paper plane flies because of air going over and below the plane keeps the plane airborne. The designs improved the plane's performance. This is more science than what Bob the Science Guy gives us. Yeah, check this out. This is the sun. The sun is a star, not a planet, as some people think. The sun is at the center of our solar system, and the sun keeps the planets in its orbits. The sun is made up of gases. And then I've got a massive cross-section of the sun, and this is dead real, this. And get this, right? Let me go over the next page. I've got an experiment that we did with refraction on the 5th of September, and it's entitled, Can Light Rays Bend? So we've got apparatus used, we've got the investigation, we've got over the page, we've got what happened, and then we've got a title that says what I found out. So I zoom in a bit more, and it says, get this done, and look at the mark I got. Very good work. It says, light travels in straight lines, Dawn. It doesn't say light travels in bendy lines. And we see objects because light is scattered off them and into our eyes. This lets us see objects as they really are. Water bends light rays, and this allows us to see around corners, apparently. This is called refraction. There's more science in primary school teaching than there is from any of the ballers. This is proper science, isn't it, Dawn? Oh, and then I got 50 lines for forgetting to bring my materials to lessons.
I would give that a 9 out of 10.
You're not talking to Dawn.
I would give that a 9 out of 10, though, Riley, because technically it's not the water that bends the light. It is the change of the density of the or the medium transfer.
Yeah, applying Snell's law.
Right.
But notice that it didn't say that light. Did you notice that it didn't say light travels in curvy bendy curvy bendy ways? And I got an excellent comment underneath. So obviously light travels in straight lines. It doesn't follow a curved path the way we're told by you morons.
What about the distance to the sun then?
No
Can't
confirm.
even prove that the sun's tangible or physical, Nathan.
I'm asking you. You're the one with the apparent proof based on cartoon sketches.
Hey, they were double shaded with outlines. They look fantastic. I impressed myself when I opened them and read them.
Okay. It's not scientific evidence.
The best I got, though, it's what I was taught in school, so it must be true.
Right, well, that concludes the housekeeping.
Yeah, naff all evidence of anything, just beliefs.
Stuff.
Shout out to Slick and his beliefs that he doesn't have.
Shout out to Colin Turner for hitting the super chat before the show even began. Thank you very much for your support.
So, where do we go?
Anybody miss
Why are
Slick?
you late today, Nathan? What's going on?
Going to look at a shed.
Pardon?
Going to look at a shed.
Oh, you didn't like the car?
I can't afford a good car, so there'll all be sheds. Smash the super chat.
So, oh, by the way, Quantum Eraser, are you there?
Yeah, go ahead, Anthony.
Some bloke by the name of Bob the No Science Guy claims that he's proven that you've dishonestly lied and misrepresented some citations. I haven't watched the video. It's on his channel. I asked him for a timestamp in his 17-minute video for where the evidence was, and he couldn't give me one because he said, go and watch the video and learn something. So it's a very loose assertion that you've lied, but just wanted to let you know that this Bob the No Science Guy, the guy that won't admit the independent variable needs to be wiggled in an experiment to prove the cause and effect. He's calling you out, John. He's claiming that you've lied and dishonestly misrepresented something on one of your citations. So it's probably worth a conversation at some point, but I just wanted to let you know that you've been, quote, called out.
Yeah, I'm quivering in my boots right now. We already toe tagged the moron twice, so go watch those, Bob.
Maybe we should toe tag him a third time just because he's cheeky enough to try and damage limitate his own wounds. I mean, the guy's a moron. He doesn't understand basic science, but projects his dishonesty onto us by claiming that it's actually us that doesn't understand it with our own citation, with our own interpretations that are actually based on citations from your science. Somehow he claims that they're our interpretations. Nah. So the guy's an idiot.
Yeah, he's already, like I said, he's already been toe tagged, I think, twice. So go watch those.
Well, I think we should have a rum and coke night, and we'll just sit down and go through his 17-minute video, and we'll laugh at all the false statements of fact that he puts in his videos to try and present a bad light on us, or in this case, you.
Hey, a shout out to the playlist of toe tags. It's quite entertaining to go through them and listen to the playlist.
It's embarrassing if you're on their side, though, but they just completely ignore it and they think it's okay to lie to people. And we're like, hang on a sec, guys. We're pointing out that you guys are literally deceiving the world, literally doing it. And we're trying to correct things by pointing out that you're getting your science wrong. Embarrassing, Bob.
Hey, where can people find that playlist, Nathan?
On the Nathan Oakley channel. It's called FED Toe Tag. Or just search.
I've just realised I wanted to share this on the show yesterday, but I didn't get a chance. There's two definitions of gravity. There's the Newtonian principles that were replaced and superseded or debunked by Einstein in 1915. You know that process that the ballers completely and utterly ignore. You also have Einsteinian principles for gravitation, being the curvature or the bending of space-time, the fabric of space-time. If you were looking for a credible citation from, say, NASA, and they were conflating the two systems to make them sound like they were the one system, and they were clearly conflating them, would you think that NASA were either trolling or just wrong? And would you accept the citation to be anything other than fallacious if they were conflating the two systems as one in one article, like as though they were one? Because I would. And what I'm going to do, if I can, is present what I was presented by some idiot baller who claims that gravity is actually a force. He's found a citation where something credible indicates that gravity is actually a force. So what I'm going to do, Nathan, if you don't mind, I'll screen share again.
Anthony, are you trying to get your 10,000 words out?
Pardon? Are
you trying to get your 10,000 words out?
Maybe. So here we go. Now tell me, is this double speak? Is this conflating terms or what? Now, if you're going to talk about Newton's principles, you're going to talk about forces. If you're going to talk about Einstein's, you're going to say that they're not forces. It's the curvature of space-time, right? This citation is from NASA. It's actually a NASA citation, nasa.gov, right? What is gravity? Look what he puts. What is gravity? Gravity is the force by which a planet or other body draws objects towards its center. The force of gravity keeps all of the planets in orbit around the sun. Well, we know that gravity is not a force, so clearly this first paragraph's wrong. I mean, they're applying Newtonian principles. Does anybody disagree that this is Newtonian application?
Einsteinian gravity is not a force. So yeah.
They're applying Newtonian principles, right? Now, don't forget, this was replaced in 1915 by Albert's stuff, right? But get this, it says, what else does gravity do? Why do you land on the ground when you jump up instead of floating off into space? Why do things fall down when you throw them or drop them? The answer is gravity, an invisible force that pulls objects towards each other. Earth's gravity is what keeps you on the ground and keeps things, what makes things fall. But then they do this depiction of the bending and the curvature of the fabric of space. And I'm thinking that this is misleading people with conflating the two systems to make it sound as though it's legit. Then it says, an animation of gravity at work. Albert Einstein described gravity as a curve in space that wraps around an object, such as a star or a planet. If another object is nearby, it is pulled into the curve. So it's literally talking about the two separate systems as though it's gravity. And we know that one replaced the other. And they shouldn't be talking about it like this. It should be contrasting Newtonian principles of gravity being a force, because we know that Albert replaced it. But it's talking about them as though it's the same thing.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Riley. We know that it was replaced. A lot of people walking around out there that have no idea there's more than one type of gravity, or that gravity is even in contention. So that's what it is. That's why there's no detail in this nonsense. They just say it's an invisible force, and then they give you a little schematic of bendy space-time to make it seem like, oh, yeah, okay, we got that. We got that, so we're good.
And the other thing I want to point out is that these ballers now, they're admitting or they're accepting that gravity is not a force, right? But what they're doing is countering it with, well, it's not a force, it's an apparent force. It's a fictitious force, so it still does something. And I'm like, really? So what demonstrations can you give me where a fictitious or an apparent force can cause something? And they come up with, well, when you go in your car and you brake heavily, you get thrown to the front of your car, but there's no force there. That's an apparent force. But get this, right? In the context of tides and in the context of the atmosphere being held to the ball by some kind of force that's not a force, look what it says. A fictitious force, also called a pseudo force or an inertial force, is an apparent force that acts on all masses. So it's indicating that it's doing something, right? Whose motion is described using a non-inertial frame of reference, such as a rotating reference frame. Examples are the forces that act on passengers in an accelerating or braking automobile, and that force pushes objects towards the edge of the centrifugal rim, towards the rim of a centrifuge, right? That's the example they give, but look at what it then says. The fictitious force is due to an object's inertia when the reference frame does not move inertially, and thus begins to accelerate relative to the free object. Now, in the context of tides and stopping the atmosphere from bursting off into space, how did they get around this bit? The fictitious force thus does not arise from any physical interaction between the two objects, but rather from an acceleration of a non-inertial frame of reference itself. Basically, how are they going to get tides explained on their model if the fictitious force does not arise from any physical interaction between objects? Because if gravity is a fictitious force with no physical interaction between the objects, then you guys can't explain tides or gas pressure bursting off into space.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I ain't even going to say anything.
Don't live on a model. What's gravity?
Yeah. What's gravity, right? Gravity, even if it did exist at 100% full force, Einstein versus Newton, it has not anything to do with entropy whatsoever. For the maybe 587th time.
So if anybody can explain this to us dumb flat earthers, I'd like to know how are tides caused on your model if there's no physical interaction between the two objects. It literally says it. The fictitious force does not arise from a physical interaction between the two objects. What's causing tides on your model if it's not this?
I've got a question. Why do you want to know this?
I like to beg the question with them. I know. I'm sorry. I'm not as bad as Spurs, though. I don't put my arm around them. I kind of hold the knife to the throat and say, give me the evidence that supports this assertion. Spurs just says, it's okay, we can be friends. Let's all play Kumbaya.
Okay.
Maybe somebody in Discord will like to debate you on that, Anthony, or one-on-one.
I don't want to debate on this one. I just want the evidence that explains, or I want a diagram. I want Rumpus to come on and draw us a diagram, or Conspiracy Cats to draw us a diagram on how they're going to hold, how tides are caused by the moon if there's no physical interaction between the two objects. Because we're told that gravitation from the moon is what causes tides. Well, if there's no physical interaction between the two objects, you're not having tides. So how does that work?
Yeah. Do you want to know?
Yeah.
Oh,
Come on, Brendan, tell us.
Do you
Luigi.
truly want to know?
Shout out to
Yeah,
Chow
of
Yun
course.
Cat for the super chat. Says unbelievable. Thank you very much for your support.
Hey, Nathan, do we want this
Right.
Brenda versus Anthony?
Yeah. Go ahead,
Versus?
Brenda.
So,
It's not a versus thing. I don't think of it as a versus. I'll try to explain it to you as the best I can.
Okay,
That's
I'm
all.
listening.
Yeah.
claim.
The
So hold
tides,
on a
like
second,
any
Brenda.
other phenomenon
Claim.
caused
Hold
by
on a
gravity.
second, Brenda. Brenda. Claim support. Claim support.
I said
And
it's
give them
not
a
a.
chance
It's
to
not
rebut.
I'm not approaching this as a competition. I'm just-
I
we're
didn't
just
say it's a
talking.
competition. I said claim support. One claim support. Shut up
Yeah.
for rebuttal.
We're just
okay?
talking. We're just
Go.
talking, and I'm just
I'm
explaining.
telling you how it's
That's
going.
all.
Well, all right, let's just
So,
have the
the
explanation
question-
first.
Wait. I'm
So
curious. So they're trying to set
Look.
Brenda
Everyone's
and Riley
rumpusing.
up.
Look, Chocolate. Just Brenda. Just Anthony.
Yeah.
So what's the question?
If gravity
The
is
question
not a
is-
force,
Gravity.
let me ask it so it's clear.
Is
Let
a
me get it
force.
out, Brenda. If gravity is not a force, but you guys say it's an apparent force, by definition, according to your citation on Wikipedia, it says that the fictitious force does not arise from any physical interaction between the two objects, in this case, the moon and the waters on Earth. So if the moon is supposed to be causing tides, but it's subject to a fictitious force that doesn't have any interaction between the two objects, then how is the moon actually causing tides on your model?
Because the moon is distorting space-time.
It's not a force, though.
Oh,
You
hold
can
on.
distort space-time.
Hold on,
yeah,
Anthony.
I didn't say it
Hold on.
was. I said
Hold on. So claim, then support. Your claim, moon distorts conceptual medium. Support for your claim,
mass.
please,
The
Brenda.
mass of the moon distorts space-time.
That's the same as the claim. Support
Yeah, that's
for
what
your
I
claim.
said. I'm repeating it.
Sorry, Brenda. When I say support for your claim, I don't mean a repetition of the claim itself. What do you have to support the claim that the moon bends a conceptual medium?
I'm not catching everything that you say because words are being dropped out. But what do I have to support the claim that mass distorts space-time? Is that the question?
Yes.
Oh, there's been literally thousands of experiments since Einstein proposed his theory of relativity that have confirmed experimentally the predictions made by the theory of relativity.
Brenda, let me rephrase it.
Hold on, Anthony.
Theory of relativity is another
I
theory,
don't want her
Brenda.
to just claim that she's got support from thousands of things that she doesn't actually cite. So, okay,
Yeah.
do you want to cite those, I'll quote you, thousands of experiments, please?
Well, one of them was the observation made in the early 19th century, early 20th century. I'm sorry, that the star behind the sun, the light from that star, was bent according to the math to predictions of general relativity. So they made an observation of a star behind the sun and coming around the edge during an eclipse that was bent the precise amount as predicted by the theory of relativity.
What?
Anthony, go ahead.
A star during an
Arwen,
eclipse?
hold on.
Arwen, it's Anthony and Brenda.
All right, so Brenda, I'm going to make two statements that I'm going to assert, according to your model, are contradictory. And if they're not, I want you to correct me, okay? The first statement from Wikipedia in regards to fictitious forces is cited as, quote, "The fictitious force thus does not arise from any physical interaction between the two objects. In the context of the tides being caused by..." Yeah, okay. But in the context of the tides being caused by the moon, I'm going to ask you, does this second statement contradict or support it? The second statement is the citation when I search for what causes tides on Google. It says tides are caused by the gravitational interaction between the Earth and the moon. Now, if there's a gravitational interaction between the Earth and the moon, but gravity is not a physical interaction between the two objects, that appears to be contradictory. Would you agree?
It might be, unless you understood that gravity is actually a consequence of the mass of the two objects, in this case, the Earth and the moon. The mass interacts in such a way that it distorts space-time, right?
You stole that from me this morning.
Arwin.
The mass of the Earth distorts space-time, and so does the mass of the moon.
But
and then there's an interaction.
By definition, Brenda, by definition, according to apparent forces, there is no physical interaction between the two objects. There is no interaction.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
So how can the moon be having a gravitational interaction between the Earth and the moon then if you can't have one in it with a fictitious force?
Because they're both close to each other and they're both distorting space-time. Right?
Brenda, it
so
says
the Earth... The Earth
listen,
without
Brenda, it says...
Hold on, Anthony. If it's just
Anthony, the Earth without the moon creates a gravity well, right? But the moon also creates a gravity well. And so you put them two together and you get a more complicated shape. And that shape conforms to the laws that Newton wrote in such a way you could describe it as a force. Anyway, the math still works in such a way that objects like the ocean are still affected by the distortion in space-time caused by the mass of the moon.
Brenda, let me re-ask the question because I'm not satisfied that you answered the question that I asked. Okay? The definition of a fictitious force, according to your model, says that it does not arise from any physical interaction between the two objects. But when you look at the definition for what's causing tides, it says that the tides are caused by the gravitational interaction between the Earth and the moon. But the previous citation says it does not arise from any physical interaction between the objects. So it seems to be contradictory.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm asking you, do you agree that it seems to be contradictory, or do you think that they support each other?
Well, that's not an actual contradiction because we understand the gravity to be a distortion in space-time, right?
Right.
Okay,
You're not
hold on. I just want to read out the two citations again, so it's a third party reading them. So I'll read out the first. The fictitious force thus does not arise from any physical interaction between two objects. And that's from where? Anthony?
Wikipedia for fictitious forces.
Yeah, and
hold on,
that is correct. That is correct, and I accept that.
Okay, next, the description for fictitious force. All right?
No, the description for what causes tides on Google.
Oh, okay. So, tides are caused by the gravitational interaction between Earth and the Moon. So those two things are in complete contradiction to one another.
No, they're not There's no contradiction there.
How so?
So let me try to explain it to you this way. Imagine you have a really, really fat person on a trampoline. That person's standing there. And then you have another person, like say a little kid who's not as big. Right? If the little kid is far away from the big person on the trampoline, they won't be affected by the bump, the well, the gravitational well in the trampoline caused by the big person. But if they get closer, the little person will be affected, and the little person will affect the shape of how that big person distorts the trampoline. The big person distorts the trampoline, the little person distorts the trampoline. Put them close together, and they both distort the trampoline in a different way. And that
respectfully,
and the
Hold on,
description of
Anthony.
how that's distorted can be described by Newton's laws of gravitation.
Brenda, respectfully, the definition that you seem to be contradicting states that tides are caused by the gravitational interaction between the Earth and the Moon. Now, if it's saying that there's a gravitational interaction between the Earth and the Moon, but the fictitious force definition says that there is no physical interaction between the Earth and the Moon, then either you're describing something that's not consistent with the cause of tides, or the fictitious force is debunking you. It's one or the other.
No, it's not a contradiction.
It is. You're saying that there's no interaction, but the definition on Wikipedia or on Google, when you type in what causes tides, describes an interaction. So is there an interaction or is there not?
What the problem, you're conceiving of the first description of a force as the Earth reaching out and affecting objects near it. It doesn't do that, right?
But it says in the definition that
space-time all around it.
Carry on, Brenda.
What?
I was telling Anthony to stop interrupting you.
Right.
Brenda.
So a force
Hold on,
is
happened again because there was a small pause. Just let Brenda get to the end of a statement.
Well, it's hard because for some reason, whenever I come onto your Discord, the beginnings and parts of sentences get dropped whenever I talk to anybody here, and I don't see that on any other Discord.
Well, go fix your equipment because it's only you.
It's not my equipment. It's not my equipment.
It is.
It's how
go
you
fix
have
your
it set
stuff.
up.
Get on with the debate.
It's not really a debate. We're just talking. And I'm trying to explain to Anthony how gravity works. Gravity is not a force, right? But it does conform to Newton's laws about gravity.
No, it doesn't. It conforms to Einstein's, not Newton's.
Einstein's laws are just a completion of Newton's laws.
Not, they superseded. They're not a completion. They replaced.
Yeah, but you're just wrong. Einstein's
really?
Do you even know what Einstein's laws are?
Sorry, I'm gonna have to answer my phone. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll take over
So
instead.
Yeah,
I'll take
so
over
so
in
quantum.
instead. Hold on a
so
second. I'll
quantum-
take over in instead. Einstein's laws are a completion of Newton's laws. Einstein never made any scientific laws. Please post Einstein's laws. Go ahead and do it here on live stream.
Yeah, I don't have that up.
Yeah,
me
so
right
it's a
now.
baseless assertion, and you couldn't be more wrong. You also said space distortion can be explained by Newton. Newton used Euclidean geometry. Space-time is pseudo-Riemannian for space. So how do you explain that little trick? Go ahead and put that in live stream. I want to see these equations.
Yeah, those are math. When the speed of light, right, is in the lower part of Einstein's laws for general relativity. When the speed of light is the speed of an object is significantly less than the speed of light, the laws of general relativity closely approximate the laws of Newton.
Hold on.
I say again.
Hold on, John. Hold on. What
you know this. You know this, John.
Brenda, what he asked you for was Euclidean 3 space being translated into pseudo-Riemannian 4 space. Do you have those equations or not?
Something or not.
I'll repeat it. It seems like even though last time you said you couldn't hear me, you literally repeated verbatim what you were asked for. But there we go. So, the question on the table is, do you have the equations for Euclidean 3-space converting into pseudo-Riemannian 4-space? Yes or no?
Well, John knows this because he quoted his quotations that he cites from include this information. He just leaves that part out.
I'm asking you.
I don't have
them?
any of the equations on me right now.
So no, you don't have anything for your baseless assertion to back that these two are compatible together, that they would be translatable, interchangeable even. You don't have anything to back this. Well, I'll say now, unequivocally, they aren't. They are completely different mathematical structures. Completely different. Not interchangeable. Not converted.
John
I haven't finished talking.
I
haven't finished talking, miss. I haven't got anything to back my baseless assertion. Now I'm making a statement. They are different mathematics completely. One is 3-space. The other is 4-space. Different. Not the same.
Well, Einstein's equations for general
Brenda,
relativity.
Brenda, we asked you to provide evidence to support your baseless assertion, not for you to babble endlessly. You don't have anything to back your baseless assertion that one is interchangeable with the other, or derived from the other, or anything to do with the other, because they're not. They are entirely different mathematical constructs. 1, pseudo-Riemannian 4-space. 2, Euclidean 3-space. Not the same.
Under the conditions where we're not close to the speed of light, the equations for general relativity reduce to and closely approximate.
I heard you claim the first time we asked you to
equations.
back it with a citation or evidence or a demonstration of the mathematical compatibility, and you haven't. You don't need to say it slower.
You can look this up yourself.
Oh, I'm asking you, the one who's made the claim, to back and support your claim. Not ask me to back your claim and look it up for you. No, you cannot back your baseless assertion. I'm not going to do a damn thing except point out for the third time that they are entirely different mathematics.
Well, what did I said? When you are at a significant percentage of the speed of light, then there's a great difference between Newton's laws and Einsteinian general relativity. But when you're not in the normal conditions that we find ourselves in, you can use Newton's equations in place because we're not traveling at close to the speed of light.
Listen, okay, that's
John,
nonsense. You can't support it.
You know this.
She can't support it.
John,
She's just going to
you
keep
know
claiming
this.
it.
You know this, John.
Brenda, we're not just going to hear you keep claiming it 3 more times. We heard the first time when you declared, after giving an example of a bendy trampoline with a fat person on it, that mathematics would be... Why'd you keep interrupting me? Yeah, we heard the claim the first time. Yeah, you don't need to keep repeating it. The bit that's bending in the trampoline itself, right? That's not in Euclidean 3-space. The bit that you're using as the analogy. Why'd you keep interrupting me, Brenda? What's the problem here?
What's the problem? We were just talking. Dude.
Yeah, you just keep interrupting me and closing my gate. That's what keeps happening when you just keep going, yeah. You haven't got anything to say. Shout out to Winnie the Brew Bear, Toe Tag
That's the way normal people talk.
Not on a hangout, because you closed the gate. This isn't a face-to-face conversation. We're not face-to-face. So I'll say it again. The very medium that you're describing with a trampoline, that would be space-time itself that you're using that as an analogy for. You don't need to agree. I'm still in the middle of a breath, Brenda, right? I'm not going to tell you again to shut up. I'm just going to stop you from talking in this conversation because clearly when I explain your nonsense, you interrupt so that the audience can't hear because it's devastating. The very medium, space-time, is the trampoline. That's not in Euclidean 3-space. That's the 4th bit, the space-time bit. Yeah? Not included. Different in mathematical construction. Not the same. Not divisible, not derivable, not the same. I'll say it until I'm blue in the face, because you're wrong when you claim that the Euclidean 3-space can be used to calculate something that is completely devoid of something in that mathematics. Okay, Brenda.
Oh, okay. So you're just wrong, because it can be an approximation under the circumstances that we find ourselves in. If we were circling a black hole, or if we were traveling at a significant
no worries. I heard it the
portion of
first 4
speed of
times.
light.
Now show me in Euclidean 3-space where space-time is, please.
No, I don't have to.
Sorry,
just look it
sorry,
up for
Brenda,
yourself.
you've just said you can calculate it using Newton's mathematics. So I'm asking you, where in those mathematics is space-time? Please show it me.
I don't even understand the question.
Yeah, because you're a brain-dead retard. Yeah? We're talking about the 4th bit. Length, breadth, depth, and time. So, you want to tell me where that is in Euclidean 3-space, please?
The point is...
it's not. That's the point. It isn't. That's my point. They're different mathematically. You keep saying one's derivative. Yeah. You can calculate one with the other. You can't. You're wrong.
Yes, you can.
Well, show us then.
No, you look it up. John knows that what I'm saying is true, because...
Okay, no worries. No worries. You're deferring to John. Shut up now. If you want to defer to John, I'll let you. That means you shut up, and John will either, as you seem to think, back your claim, or not. So we'll go to John as you keep deferring to him. QE, are the two mathematical constructs interchangeable or not?
Obviously not. They're two different geometries, and there's a number of problems here. She said for us to look it up, that's an elephant hurling fallacy. It's not our job to provide support for your claims. You also said Einstein's laws. We don't want to forget about that. Einstein never postulated a law for anything whatsoever. In Einstein's field equations, you can find G and little g. Let me tell you something. Newton's universal law of gravitation, there is no G, big G, or little g. So you're completely off the reservation on all counts. Last point, you used the trampoline, right? And the trampoline bottom, the rubber bottom, was used to analogize space-time. Well, that bottom of that trampoline is physical. It has chemical formula structure, right? Space-time, nothing. So it's a false equivalence fallacy and a reification fallacy. Space-time's a concept. Thanks.
Last but not by no means least, they are physically interacting by means of that physical item, the trampoline. So there is a physical interaction between those two things. The trampoline itself. Shout out to Unicorn Laser Eyes. Put up or shut up, Brenda. Thanks for the super chat.
The trampoline is an analogy.
We know.
Yeah, it's a false analogy. I just told you that. I showed it to you.
What's your evidence that it's a false analogy?
I just explained it. I'm not going to do it again.
He literally just explained it 30 seconds ago. Repeat back what he said.
There's nothing wrong with comparing the distortion of space-time to the distortion of the surface of a trampoline.
Really? You think a conceptual medium is analogous to an actual physical piece of material? No, it's not.
Space-time is an actual physical thing.
No, I understand your claim. You're saying, yes, it's acceptable to use that as an analogy. We know you made it. That's why we're pointing out that it's not acceptable to compare a conceptual medium with a piece of fabric that is actually real. Those two aren't equivalent. They're not analogous. They are entirely different.
Space-time is real.
One is a conceptual medium. Do you know what a concept is? It's not fabric.
Space-time
you can't
isn't
sew a concept.
Space-time is not a concept. It's real.
Show us it, please.
What?
What do you mean, what? Show it to us. I'll show you a trampoline. You show me space-time.
Show me radio waves.
You've just said you can show us space-time. Now show it.
No, show me radio
Not
waves.
no.
Can you show me radio
Not
waves?
no. Your baseless
No, you can't show
assertion
me
fallacy
radio waves,
number
can
2.
you?
Your baseless assertion that you can show it and it is real is incorrect. It's a conceptual medium, not an actual thing. You're not going to show us it. It's not got, as Huey pointed out in his example, it's not got charge, it's not got momentum or spin, it's not got physicality or structure. It's a conceptual medium. For the love of God.
You're just wrong. Space-time is a real physical aspect of the universe.
So show it.
So
show it to us. We heard the first time. We heard the first time. Now we're saying, if it's physical, as you've just declared, then show it us physically.
Show me radio waves.
Don't ask
radio
me to show you something. Right, the question on the
waves
table
are
is
physical
about
aspects of
space-time.
the universe.
Brenda, the rumpusing little sod, has been asked to show us what she's claimed is physical. She said space-time is part of the physical universe. I've said, show it then if it's physical, and she's demanded that I show her radio waves. No, you show us what you've claimed. Baseless assertion, fallacy-making, ignorant person. You're not going to get away with it, Brenda. Don't just declare that it's physical and real and part of our world. It isn't. It's part of your fundy world, though, isn't it, Brenda? Yeah, we know that. That's why you make these baseless assertions and claim that it's physical with no demonstration at all.
But it was demonstrated in the Eddington experiment with Einstein when they tested general relativity.
Oh, you said experiment. Do we want to continue with this, Nathan, or has she run her course?
It won't be an experiment. That's an absolute guarantee.
Yeah, there won't be. Do you want to? Because she hasn't supported anything she said so far. So it's up to you.
We're just talking, dude.
Okay, I want you to show us space-time.
Yeah, we're over the internet. I can't show you anything.
Right. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
Yeah, you're in live stream.
Pictures.
You post it, I can share it.
Yeah, you can share whatever you like in the live stream and we'll put it up on screen for the audience to see. Simple.
Well, if you're actually interested, you would look into these things.
Oh my God. Yeah, look into a conceptual medium. Look up conceptual, Brenda, and see how far you get with your looking up. And see if conceptual is going to be reified by you fundy zealot. And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980 live, then this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, and of course, for commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Also, of course, a massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Bye.
All right.
Is Brenda in here?
Think so.
No, I think she took Telegram.
As soon as you closed up the show, exponential magnitude increase in the people in after show, almost immediately.
Of course. Hello, everyone in after show.
I had to drop because I had a phone call coming in. What was the conclusion for the point about the moon causing tides? Was there a conflict, or did I get it wrong?
If you want me to summarise, she used a false analogy where she compared the bending of a physical medium, in this case trampoline skin, with the conceptual medium of space-time. she also falsely claimed that you could use Newtonian mathematics in pseudo-Riemannian force space, which you can't. It's just nonsense. What else did she do? She declared
Einstein's laws.
Yeah, she declared that Einstein had made laws, which is just...
And she had a reification fallacy. Reification fallacy, false equivalence fallacy, and a elephant hurling fallacy, and no support for her claims whatsoever. So it was a joke.
Yeah, it was
so basically, we're still in the same position where the tides, the waters of the Earth are still physically moving up and down for some reason, and there's no interaction between the Earth and the Moon. Even bendy space-time's not pulling the waters of the Earth towards the Moon. Something's happening, so something needs to be explained there. In my eyes, it seems to be a direct contradiction of what we're told compared to what we see in real world.
I feel like it needs to be. Sorry if you hear some stuff in the background. I'm in a cafe, but I feel like it has to be specified that in order for something like space-time to affect another object, it has to be a physical construct. So I think what he's saying is that space-time isn't physical, but you can think of it as physical.
Are you a glober, or are you pulling out
There
like
it
because you're a
is.
flatty? Which one is it, just out of interest?
I mean, I don't know, but I'm leaning towards being a flatty, but that's what it sounds like he's saying.
You can think of it as a real medium.
Yeah, he's on board.
It will
This is
never
great.
go away.
I've got to
Thank you,
come up with
George
some
Mercer.
shit, man. I've got to come up with some nonsense, and then at the end of it, just say, but you can think of it as whatever I'm trying to prove.
Well, yeah, because he talks about it like it's a like he made the trampoline analogous to it, and a trampoline is a physical object that you affect with your physical body. So space-time would have to be a physical construct that is affecting things physically, or else it wouldn't be affecting things physically.
You said he? Who are you talking about, he?
Oh, I'm sorry, Brenda.
Oh,
I guess
okay.
her voice kind of, I guess, threw my brain off a little bit. I should have said she. Sorry.
Don't apologise to us. That's her preferred pronoun. Not we don't give a shit what you call her.
Yeah, you could definitely say he.
Sorry about that. I
just
didn't
did
mean to hog.
because of the voice.
I didn't mean to hog the mic there. I wanted to. I tried to dispatch it quickly so we could move on to somebody else. I don't know. We might need to talk about that, Nathan. If they can't support their first claim, then it's just a waste of time, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So they either support their claim or we move on to somebody else and let somebody else have a go.
I think so.
Well, it might be a physical construct, such as magnetic lines of flux are physical constructs. You can't see them, but they're there. I'm not going to defend it either way. I'm just saying that's probably where he's coming from.
Zanuck, how are you, buddy?
What's that?
So okay, no, I can buy that. You can show that though, right?
I can't show it. I'm not going to defend it either way. I'm just saying that if you can't imagine or understand that that's where he's coming from, then that might be one way to look at it.
Well, if you can't defend your claim, if you can't support your claim, we don't want to hear it. Right?
I'm not making a claim. Where you were talking about how it's a physical construct and you can't imagine it being true, but then you can't believe
imagine.
that
I didn't say can't imagine. I didn't say that. When you say what I say, make sure you put some quotes around it, please.
Okay.
Zanuck, real quick. You were talking about how he was talking about radio waves. Okay, we can detect radio waves. Okay, can we detect space-time?
I don't think so. I think I don't know enough about it. Again,
a mathematical construct?
I think it's more about noticing its effects rather than being able to detect the actual force or the principles. Like I said, it's something that I'd rather stay in the physical world rather than in the things you can touch and see, or see the effects of directly.
Can you back up anything else you said, like Einstein's laws? Can you post an Einsteinian natural law in here, please?
No, did I claim an Einsteinian natural law?
No, you did not. I asked you if you could explain her Einsteinian natural law.
Oh, no, I don't think I can.
Is there such an animal as an Einstein law?
What?
Is there such an animal as any law from Albert Einstein?
There might be. I'm not able to adjust that.
There might be.
I'll stay.
Okay.
I'll stay Newtonian. I'll stay Newtonian if you don't mind.
Okay.
I think the confusion comes in when you're dealing with things like textbooks, because I've seen a lot of articles and different things that have things like the law of gravity. Like a lot of websites say that, and I think it just becomes a meme. But I don't think it's a real thing that that Einstein has laws, but some people like to call them that.
Well,
yeah, they're referring, when they say law of gravity, they're referring to Newtonian mechanics. They're not referring to Einstein.
Right. What if we just called gravity gravitational potential energy? Because then it addresses the presupposition that everything that is lifted up has been acting upon something and pulling it out of equilibrium. So if we do that, wouldn't we be in agreement that there's a gravitational potential energy when things are moved, whether they've grown through a stem of a tree and up into an apple, or you've lifted it off of the table?
Well, because you said gravity, what gravity are you talking about, please?
There's an attraction, a force due to gravity.
Gravity. Okay, here we go again, right? Gravity is not a force.
I didn't say gravity is a force. Again, you misunderstood me. I said gravity. There's a force due to gravity.
Oh, here we go again. Well, didn't we already have this discussion, not yesterday, but the day before, where you conceded that gravity, or there was a force that was due to gravity?
No, we didn't concede there wasn't a force due to gravity. We said that when Musser said that gravity was not a force, we said they've said that because they've moved on to Einsteinian theories of relativity.
No, you conceded the other day when your claim was that there was a force coming from a non-force. And you conceded, you said, hey, okay, that's it.
I said that I couldn't find a citation that gave my interpretation of what gravity is.
Yeah, gravity causing a force. Yes, so we're back on this same topic. You conceded. Are you going to bring it back up again?
We can bring it. We can talk about it.
No, because you conceded. I don't want to talk about concessions. I don't want to pay for the same real estate twice.
Is there a force available? Is there a force when you have lifted something above a table, an object, any mass?
I'm not talking about that.
Okay, you can call the force, like I said before, we can talk about it as being the force of down, but there is a force, because when we let go of it,
there is no force.
Then how does it accelerate?
There is no force. Define a force.
You don't accept Newton's second law. You believe.
Oh, here we go again. No, I don't. I do not accept any of the three Newtonian laws. I don't. You know why?
Okay.
Because they're wrong.
Really?
And
so
yeah, they are.
Can you find an example where it reigns not true?
I can find an example from Richard Feynman, who has said that the Newtonian laws of motion were wrong.
Okay, appeal to authority. Give me evidence that is the way.
That's not an appeal to authority.
It is appeal to
Richard
authority.
Feynman, that's not an appeal to authority.
Just because someone knows something about something doesn't mean that it is the way it is. You have to show evidence.
Another claim, and now you're going to rumpus me. No problem. An appeal to authority is appealing to someone who is not a subject matter expert in the area discussed. Richard Feynman is a Nobel laureate physicist. He's almost a physicist god with you boneheads, right? So appealing to Richard Feynman is not an appeal to authority fallacy, son. I mean, that's just moronic. So I don't know what else you got left.
I'm telling you, the definition of appeal to authority is using someone who is an authority as evidence. That is not
Wrong.
evidence.
Cite it, please.
That is easy to cite. We'll
Go
finish our
ahead, put
discussion
it in
before
there. I already pounded you on this before, but of course you don't learn your lessons, right?
And you muted me when I gave you the evidence, so we can talk about that later.
No,
let's talk
we're
about
not talking about it
let's
later.
talk
Go
about
ahead and post
pseudo
that in
forces.
here.
Let's talk about pseudo forces.
Wait. Zanuck, before you move on, you're saying that gravity creates a force, correct?
Correct.
Would you say that a force requires energy?
Hey, stop. Well, hold on a second. Who's talking here?
Fenris.
Hey, Fenris. He whistled past the graveyard. Charged me. I'll tell you what, Zanuck. He charged me with appealing to authority for Richard Feynman, right? That's what he did, correct? And he gave his little definition that he made up. I'm going to put this in live stream right now from a peer-reviewed source, what an appeal to authority fallacy is. And then I'm going to read it. You ready? You appeal to authority if you back up your reasoning by saying that it is supported by what some authority says on the subject. Most reasoning of this kind is not fallacious, and much of our knowledge properly comes from listening to authorities. However, appealing to authority as a reason to believe something is fallacious whenever the authority appealed to is not really an authority in the particular subject. Just what I said. So Zanuck, yoo-hoo.
Yes, I'm here.
You're a clown. You are wrong again.
No, you've given me one example. Let me refute that.
Hold on. I'll give you an example.
Why can't you let me refute that with my example?
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example if you'll just stop rumpusing. So you go to a doctor with a broken leg, and the broken leg doctor says, "I think we should put it in a cast." And the guy standing next to you while you're in absolute agony says, "That's an appeal to authority."
Logical fallacy of an example. That's not what we're talking about here. There are plenty of people.
Can I ask a question?
There's plenty of people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Experts.
He's exposed now. Go ahead.
You don't think?
Shut up, Zanuck.
You muted me?
No, I said shut up. Who was the person who had a question?
Yeah, it's just a quick one, really. How do I get to watch the live stream? I was on 1980, and I can't find the live stream anywhere.
It's because it's ended.
Go ahead, Nathan. You can handle this one.
It's because it's ended.
So, when you close down the show on 1980, you say you can continue watching it on the other live stream?
There is no other live stream, so it just ends, and then what we're recording now, will get published later. But essentially, I've finished. There is no more live show. It's over. That's why you can't see it.
So there's only one show,
Roger, thank you.
on Mondays. Listen up. Hold on a second. I'll explain it to you. There's one live show on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. All of them have an after show that's recorded and played later. On Thursdays and Fridays, there's 2 live shows. And when the after shows of Thursday and Friday are recorded also, and don't ask me when they're played.
No, you're making it way too complicated, right? There's a live show every single day at 2 p.m. and the live show is an hour. That's it. And then every show, every single day, Monday to Sunday, there's an after show at 10 p.m. UK time. So 2 p.m. live for an hour every single day. And then 10 p.m. there's after show and Uncut. And that's every single day. I've made it, in the last week, I've just made the timetable considerably more simple. So every day live at 2 UK time, every day after show at 10 p.m. UK time. Easy.
Yeah, that's cool. So you just continue the discussion on Discord then after, do you?
Yeah, sometimes people hang around, sometimes I disappear immediately. But Discord's
yeah, cool.
Available.
I just wanted to follow on with the discussion yesterday with Mr. Sleepyhead and I'm tired. I was just absolutely blown away by his responses. It was just so funny. It was unreal.
By Mr. Sleepyhead, do you mean Sleeping Warrior or do you mean Planner Walk?
Yeah, I think it was Planner Walk when he's I think he's Australian or something, but yeah, he was constantly oh well, I'm really tired, and I've been doing some things today and it made me really tired, and that was his best argument. It was so comical. It was unreal.
Well, he wasn't able to address your questions about Coriolis and the atmosphere.
Oh, yeah. But speaking of that, you want to hear something comical? Please, Zanuck, please give us your take on the Coriolis effect. Define the Coriolis effect for us.
Okay. Without muting me, let me speak about it. We'll have a little interaction here.
Without muting you, I'm going to kick you out if you mention muting
on
one more time.
misunderstanding the reference frames and what actually is going on. You think you lift off the Earth and the Earth spins underneath you, and that's not how Coriolis, and that's how not reality doesn't work that way either. Correct?
Support.
Reality does not work where you jump up in the air and the Earth moves underneath you. You're in the air mass that's tied to the Earth, inextricably tied to the Earth.
Oh, really? Support.
Look outside. You see any air moving past you?
Look outside as a support.
Right. Hold on. Let's start again.
Unbelievable.
Hold on.
Go ahead, Nathan.
So, what's the definition of the Coriolis effect?
The Coriolis effect is an effect due to the linear angular moment, or the angular momentum of conservative. Hold on a second. The conservation of energy. Conservation of momentum.
Start again. Just hold on. Stop. I need a concise beginning.
Going northward, as you track northward, you have a speed that you've already established at the equator, and now you are going to the west based on, or to the east based on that movement.
Wrong. You're making that shit up. Citation, please.
Start again.
That's what it is.
Start again. Right, with a concise start. Not over the top of me asking the question and repeating it. Not when I say, don't give me 4 different beginnings to this and then carry on with your non-explanation over the top of me. Right, I want to start and an end. What is the Coriolis effect?
It's an effect due to the conservation of linear momentum. As you travel north or south from the equator, this will be in effect an apparent force pushing you to the east if you're going north, and to the west if you're going south. That is the Coriolis effect.
Citation, please.
Okay.
You don't understand. Why do I need a citation? That's the definition of it.
I've got the citation in front of me right now, and it doesn't say anything about equator. It doesn't say that word once. I've looked through. Oh, hold on. Let's just look at another one. No, look at another definition. Doesn't include the word equator either. Let's just have a look at this third.
Could be just north.
No, hold on. Hold on. I'm talking, and you seem to be. I let you speak, didn't I, Zanuck? Did I not let you speak? Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be able to speak now, Nathan.
No, don't pop him on mute. The globe head mute button I can overcome by just pointing it out. So Zanuck, yeah, I've just looked at 3 different references. None of them included the word equator. So it seems from what I'm reading, though, it's not specifically in reference to Earth, the Coriolis effect. So I'll ask again, define the Coriolis effect.
It's an apparent force due to the conservation of linear or angular momentum.
Wrong.
That's not
wrong. You don't even know. Wait a second, Nathan. What is the conservation of momentum? You clown. Go ahead.
Because you don't understand it, I'm a clown?
Yeah, I know.
So this is it, right? He says you don't understand it. So what are the main...
When you're on a merry-go-round and you throw a ball, you see it deviate to the right, for example, if it's going counterclockwise. That is, in essence, what Coriolis is. It's an apparent force that shifts that ball to the right. It's apparent. Now, if you were looking from it from above, from a reference, it would just be traveling at a tangent straight line. The Coriolis is the apparent force that pushes that ball out of your frame of reference.
So what you're saying is, hold on. So what you're saying is the roundabout, it's turning, and the ball you throw off the roundabout goes in a straight line or at a tangent, as you describe it. But you continue to rotate underneath.
Right. So from your frame of reference, the ball takes a turn to the right.
But it's really flying in a straight line as the roundabout turns underneath. So in reference to the Earth, the plane travels in a straight line, and the Earth rotates underneath.
No.
I mean, no. That's what you've just
You see
said.
an airplane going north?
The
airplane going north is traveling.
Hold on. I'm just going to clarify what you've just said. You just said it with
if you were
ball.
looking from it
You're
above,
just now rumpusing me.
rotate
Zanek, I'm trying to clarify what you said. You said ball and roundabout. Ball goes off at a tangent, but essentially in a straight line. From your position as you rotate underneath, it appears to curve, but actually goes in a straight line. I then changed ball for aeroplane and roundabout for spinning religious reification, ball earth, and you said no. So why would you say,
okay, I see the problem.
Zanek, you seem to be rumpusing me again right at the point of the conclusion.
I saw the problem.
Zanek, is it because the devastating conclusion needs to be rumpus with the global mute button? I would say definitely, because this is the point of your misapprehension about what the Coriolis effect is and where the Earth fails to meet that criteria. Now, I understand that this causes huge cognitive problems for you, and they manifest as rumpus, 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 rumpus over the top of the devastating truth. But when I juxtapose the ball for a plane and the roundabout for a spinning ball Earth, I get a no. Like somehow it doesn't apply, even though your original definition specifically included Earth when asked to define Coriolis. So why would it apply on a roundabout, which is very much akin to these three definitions I've read right in front of me now, the Coriolis effect, and not apply to your religious spinning ball?
It does. But what you're misinterpreting is that the Earth
Excellent, it does. Excellent. Let's move on then. So, the plane travels in a straight line, and the Earth rotates underneath, right, Zanik?
No.
No?
That's not what's
Well,
happening.
we've got a problem again. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Red alert. What do you mean, no? What do you mean? What do you mean, no? Zanik, I'm trying to ask you a question. We got to this point, and then you said no, it does apply to Earth. And then as soon as I made the example again, you said no again. So we seem to be having this problem, this cognitive break that you're suffering, where I describe what the Coriolis effect is, and then apply it to an aeroplane, and you instantly say no. What's that problem being caused by, do you think, Zanik? Is it because A, there is no Earth-based Coriolis effect, that's why we don't see it in an aeroplane? Or B, because Zanik's just stupid and doesn't understand what the Coriolis effect actually is?
Or the conservation of momentum.
Can I explain?
No, you've said no. I've described Coriolis. I've read it off three different definitions. You've agreed, and then as soon as I applied it to your fundamentalist sphere ball relief, you start rumpusing me. So can I explain? Well, no. We got to the point where we got a definition. I know what Coriolis effect is. I know the constituent parts required to have Coriolis. And every time I start talking this devastating truth that Earth doesn't have any Coriolis effect, you'll rumpus me and talk over the top of me. You don't get to make a reply when you say no when we try and apply Coriolis to your spinning ball Earth religion. That's when you say no. No, that's not how Coriolis works, even though it was a direct comparison between what you said about a ball and a roundabout, and then what I said about your religious belief about ball Earth. Suddenly we get a no when we're trying to describe the exact same thing but on a ball Earth that spins versus a roundabout that spins. The ball travels in a straight line and the roundabout turns underneath. The plane travels in a straight line and the Earth rotates underneath, does it, Zanik? No, you say. Well, why not? I'll tell you why not. Because there is no Earth-based Coriolis effect. The Earth isn't spinning at all, let alone spinning underneath a separate reference frame, Zanik. So your no is because, yeah, there is no Coriolis. We agree. No, that doesn't happen to planes. That's what you mean by no. No, the Earth doesn't rotate underneath planes. Yeah, we know the Earth doesn't rotate. It would need to have that effect if it had Coriolis. And like you ably point out and rumpus me every time I get to the conclusion, the answer is no. Right? No, that doesn't happen to planes.
Ignorance is bliss. So yes, from a second frame of reference above the Earth, yes, it is moving straight. The Earth and the atmosphere.
Sorry, I'm confused already. One sentence in and I'm
I'm
confused, Anik. You said second frame of reference. That wasn't part of your definition that you did not cite. So what are you talking about? You said conservation of energy. You said equators. I heard you. I listened. And you did not say reference frames. Zanik, why are you now talking about reference frames when that wasn't part of your definition that you didn't cite?
Because you have to look at, if you look at the effects of Coriolis, there's two different reference frames.
So you must have two different reference frames. Excellent. So we've got the non-inertial reference frame of the Earth and the inertial reference frame of the atmosphere that the ball's travelling through, correct?
No. The atmosphere and the Earth are on the same.
Well, what are you talking about then? You just said we need two reference frames.
Yeah, in space would be one reference frame, and then in the atmosphere and on the Earth is one reference frame as well.
Well then,
in space.
Sorry. So let me get it straight.
Space.
So hold on.
Okay,
Hold
above
on.
the Earth, above,
Stop rumpusing. Let me get it clear.
God, above
Let me
the
get
Earth,
it clear.
above the-
Let me get it clear, Zanek. Stop rumpusing. So we've got a roundabout with the atmosphere attached to the spinning roundabout. Correct?
We have a roundabout attached to what?
The roundabout has got an atmosphere that spins with the roundabout according to you and what Earth does. Hey, can you stop interrupting me every single time I talk? You're starting to really piss me off, Zanik, right? I'm trying to have a civil conversation with you and explain things concisely. And you're just interrupting over the top, closing the gate every single time I talk. Stop doing it. Stop it.
You want to have a conversation?
Yeah, I'm talking, so you're not. Don't say you want to have a conversation when I'm in the middle of a breath, right? I'll tell you when I've finished from now on, Zanik. Don't interrupt me. It's simple. I'm explaining how your explanation of what Earth does and how its reference frames work, i.e. your declaration that the Earth and atmosphere are one reference frame and space is a second reference frame. Ergo, according to you and your example, Earth has the atmosphere attached and spinning with it. And I am now making that analogy, before you interrupt me, with the roundabout, as per the examples detailed for Coriolis effect. Now, they don't describe the atmosphere spinning with the roundabout. That's not conducive with the Coriolis effect. In fact, it's the antithesis. If they are travelling together, one reference frame, there is no Coriolis effect. So likewise, I am asking you to comprehend that your example is akin to a roundabout with its own atmosphere spinning with it. Do you understand?
That's a great example, an analogy, and you are incorrect that the Coriolis cannot occur with that situation, and it can actually.
Excellent.
And I'll tell you how.
That's all I need to hear. So what Zanik has just conceded is that situation with Earth and atmosphere travelling as one is not conducive for Coriolis. So
No, it is
Zinder,
conducive.
so what's his name again? Zanik, given that you've just conceded that having an atmosphere travel with the...
I did not concede.
Why is he rumpusing the shit out of me? Why is this asshole rumpusing the shit out of me? Now I've got to the conclusion. Of course, because it's absolutely devastating to a fundamentalist religious zealot that believes the Earth is a ball. I'm saying he won't shut up. Now he can't shut up. So I'll make it nice and clear for the audience only, because Zanik is obviously completely triggered because this undoes his fundy belief. So, in essence, you have a situation where one reference frame, Earth and atmosphere travelling as one in your fundy sphere relief, is not conducive to two separate reference frames. Is it, Zanik?
Of course, it always can be conducive to two reference frames. Anything above that roundabout and its atmosphere is in the second reference frame.
Sorry.
There's no problem with Coriolis.
Sorry, above the roundabout and its atmosphere. Now show me an example of a roundabout with an atmosphere.
If you're not in it, you're not in that reference frame, correct? So that's why you can have
You're saying
Coriolis.
you're saying roundabouts do have atmospheres. You're saying a roundabout can have its own atmosphere?
If you put a dome over it, yes.
Okay, and that would give you Coriolis effect?
Of course it would.
And Earth has a dome over it?
You would have Coriolis inside the dome with the atmosphere, or water, or whatever you want.
And Earth has a dome over it. And Earth has a dome over it. Please,
out of your league. You're out of your league.
Please
you really
affirm
Seriously.
or deny. You've just said it would if it had a dome over it. So your example of Earth. Why is he rumpusing the living shit at me when I try and get clarity out of anything? Is this me? Is it disturbing for you, Zanuck, that I take apart your religious belief? Is that why you're so triggered and have to talk over me? Is that why before I finish the sentence, you're talking? Is that why this is happening, Zanuck?
It's a one-way conversation, obviously, so go ahead.
That was you talking uninterrupted, asking me to talk, and now you're talking over me. So it's not... It's one way because you keep interrupting me. So, Zanuck, you made a statement that the atmosphere could travel with a roundabout if it had a dome with it. Now, I'm asking if that's comparable to your Earth or not.
It's a good analogy because the atmosphere is connected inextricably to the Earth, yes.
That's not what I asked.
As if a force
you
or a
said
dome, a force or a dome could do this.
Stop talking. You're not answering my question. You said if it had a dome over it. So, is that... He's going to rumpus, isn't he? Before I get to the answer. Yeah, is it or isn't it?
It's analogous, yes.
Analogous? So Earth has a dome over it, according to you?
You know what analogy means? No, it means there's a force, not a dome. But that's
so not analogous then?
It is analogous. And you know what analogy means?
I asked if it had a dome. You're saying
I said
it's
analogous to a dome. That's a difference.
Right, so what you're saying is, if the roundabout has got a dome analogous to a force field, then you can have one reference frame inside a roundabout. Then you don't have Coriolis inside that. I'm making my conclusion. Why is he doing this? Asshole, I'm making my conclusion. If it's in a dome with its own atmosphere travelling with the roundabout, there's no Coriolis.
That's not true. You don't understand the conservation of energy.
I understand that the Coriolis is defined by having two separate references. Why am I getting rumpused again? I understand that it's...
Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry, Nathan.
Conservation of linear momentum. Conservation of angular momentum. It's all conservation of energy.
We're talking about the Coriolis effect. We're talking about the Coriolis effect, which requires two reference frames. You've gone out of your way to make the roundabout used in the example for the Coriolis effect to draw absolutely no comparison conducive to having a Coriolis effect, to make it analogous with your Earth, which you claim has a force field dome that you don't have any examples of, and has the Earth travelling with the atmosphere, all of which do not give you a Coriolis effect.
Can I give you an example so you can actually understand this maybe?
I've just explained that in order to have a Coriolis effect, it's very simple. Roundabout, no dome, no force field, no atmosphere travelling with the roundabout. Simple reference frames. One rotating, one not rotating. One inertial, one non-inertial. That is what you require to have Coriolis effect. Your complete and utter bollocks that you spouted about what you claim the Coriolis effect was just that. Total and utter bollocks. Now, what you require isn't domes, isn't force fields, and definitely isn't the atmosphere travelling with the non-inertial reference frame. That doesn't give you Coriolis, but you're going out of your way to change what a roundabout does, put domes over it and give it force fields, get the atmosphere travelling along with it, which isn't going to give you Coriolis.
Hold on, you said that Coriolis would not be affected on a roundabout with a dome over. You said that, and I'm saying it will. And let me give you an example. You put a swimming pool on a roundabout. You spin the swimming pool, and you were on the edge of the swimming pool moving to the center, you would be deflected to the right with the atmosphere, with this medium.
Couldn't give a shit. The definition of Coriolis is simple. Non-inertial and inertial reference frame. Simple. That's what gives you Coriolis effect. All this horse shit about spinning swimming pools is not what Coriolis effect is.
It absolutely is. It's an apparent deflection one way based on the conservation of linear or angular momentum.
Wrong.
That's baloney.
It's based
Baloney,
on
yeah,
going
what is it?
into
That's what
a
I'm saying. Go ahead,
second
Nathan.
reference frame. Plain and simple. You go into the inertial reference frame and travel in a straight line. The non-inertial reference frame continues to rotate and you see an apparent deflection based on having two reference frames. Now, it doesn't, in any of the descriptions that I've read, described anything about force fields, anything about domes. It only describes a non-inertial and inertial reference frame. That is the definition of Coriolis. It's what's required to have Coriolis. In your example, given nice and simplistically at the beginning of this example, with a ball travelling at a tangent or in a straight line, with you rotating underneath, is Coriolis. The problem comes when we get to Earth and a plane and it not having that effect, i.e. no Coriolis. Then you need to say that the explanation and definition of Coriolis is wrong when it says that you need two reference frames. Then you say that the definition needs to have a dome over it because it needs to have one reference frame and then still be two reference frames. This is the most outrageous and audacious demonstration of fundamentalism I have ever witnessed.
Funny how we can see it, though. It's funny how it's so obvious to everybody but yourself.
We can't see it.
Screen,
there is no
Nathan.
deviation. The planes do not experience the Earth rotating underneath. That's why you said no. It was quite clear that when we got to cross-examining your claim of Earth-based Coriolis effect, used with examples using the equator and all sorts of other examples that did not conform with the actual definition of Coriolis effect, two separate reference frames, then we get to the point that you give your example and it doesn't conform with Coriolis. No, is what you say when I say plane instead of ball and spinning ball Earth instead of roundabout. Because it does not happen. Simple.
You said we don't have to even use the Earth. We can just use the roundabout and get your get the point across.
Okay,
It's
we'll
on.
use the roundabout.
Hey, Nathan, it's on screen. Go ahead, share my screen so everyone can see while you're explaining it.
Okay. I mean, it's very simple. The roundabout spins. Ball travels through the inertial reference frame, and because you're still attached to the non-inertial reference frame, it appears to take a curved path. It is as simple as that.
In atmosphere or not in atmosphere? In an atmosphere, if there's air around you that is spinning as well, it will have the same effect. It will be deflected to the right. It'll be apparent deflection. Now above, out of that frame of reference, meaning you're not spinning, you would now see it go straight. Coriolis is the fact that you're seeing it deflected from your frame of reference, spinning on the roundabout, in a pool of water, in a dome of air, on the Earth. It doesn't matter. That force is real.
No, it's not a real force, you stupid bonehead. That's the first problem. No. The ball travels in a straight line. It's not actually curving. There is no actual force. The apparent effect of deviation is because you are rotating on a frame of reference, the non-inertial reference frame. Now, while you continue to turn, the ball travelling in a straight line appears to curve because you rotate underneath. Now, when we transpose this onto the ball Earth, the ball becomes an aeroplane, and you are spinning underneath, and you look up at the plane and it seems to take a curved path because the Earth rotates underneath. The only problem being that if the Earth rotates underneath an aeroplane, continents arrive at the plane before they would if it wasn't rotating, and you'd see vastly decreased durations of travel in one direction and planes fighting against the turn of the Earth in the other. Now that doesn't happen. It must happen for there to be Coriolis effect, but it doesn't happen, and that's why when we said plane instead of ball and spinning ball Earth instead of roundabout, you said no.
Oh, as you travel northbound, you'd have to you have a force against the deceleration due to this conservation of linear momentum, and it would be a slight force to the left that you'd have to apply to the airplane to not be deviating to the right, to the east.
That's baloney. Citation, please.
Citation,
please. This has
to understand
nothing to
the conservation
do
of linear
with the
momentum. Really?
conservation of momentum. You also said the conservation of energy. What the hell does the first law of thermodynamics have to do
conservation
with
of
this?
linear momentum and conservation of of angular momentum is conservation of energy. It's the same thing.
No, it's not. You
Really?
clown!
Show me how you can have. Show me how
What's
you can
the
have conservation of
conservation
linear
of
momentum and
momentum?
not have the energy in the equation.
What's the conservation of momentum? It's very easy. One sentence.
The momentum cannot be. The energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Basically,
That's the first law of thermodynamics.
That's first law of thermodynamics, bro.
which is
You bugging.
conservation of energy.
You're done.
Which is conservation of energy.
Look,
So
you're
if you
done.
if you have momentum, do you not have energy?
Yeah, we're done with this.
Do you have energy? Do you have momentum?
Just
Is
wasting
momentum
everyone's
energy?
time.
Yeah, he is. He's a clown. He has no idea. This
Zanuck
has
has
nothing to do with the
plenty of energy.
conservation of momentum.
And it's all
Nothing.
bullshit.
Zero. Yep. And it definitely doesn't have anything to do with the first law of thermodynamics. The conservation of momentum is summarized by Newton's third law, right? That's all. That's all you had to say. Basically, it has to do with collisions. And guess what? Guess what? It is only sound in an isolated system. Did you know that? Pretender clown Zanuck. Hello, pretender clown Zanuck.
What did you say? You said what?
I said what? Yeah,
What did you say?
it only
I didn't hear what you
applies to
said.
an isolated system. Are there any isolated systems in existence? No,
You said
there isn't.
conservation of linear momentum only happens in isolated systems. Is that what you said?
Bet your ass I did. You
Now we're
didn't
talking
even
about
know what it
isolated
was.
system as in thermodynamic isolation?
You
Or are we
didn't
talking
even know
about
what it
isolated
was.
reference frames?
Listen, conservation of momentum, you could have just said, yeah, it's summary of Newton's third law. The action reaction. That's all you had to say. But you don't know what it is.
There's a lot of ways you can say it, actually.
You don't know what it is. It has
No, you
nothing
don't
to
know
do
what
with
it
the
is.
topic that we're discussing. What affords the Coriolis effect?
Do you know what momentum is?
What affords the
Momentum
Coriolis
is
effect?
mass times, hold on. Momentum is mass times velocity, right? Is that energy? Can energy be extrapolated out of that?
We're talking about
Is there energy with
Coriolis.
momentum? Is
What?
momentum
There are
and
two
energy
different
related?
conservation laws, clown show.
Hold on. Is energy and momentum related?
There are two different conservation laws, the conservation of
Really?
energy
Oh,
and the
really?
conservation of momentum. And then you have
Really?
the conservation of
Are you
angular
kidding me?
momentum.
If I
Those
have
are
a
the three
mass times a
conservation
velocity, I have energy.
Right,
right?
Zanuck.
Okay.
Right, Zanuck. He's answering you, and you're rumpusing the living daylights out of him, aren't you, you little sod?
Yeah, that's over with. Let's
Yeah.
move on.
Just shut up, right? We're
He's
absolutely
been doing
all
everything.
completely aware that you haven't got the vaguest notion about virtually everything you talk about. Scratch the surface with a wiki search and then come here and spout it off like you understand it. You haven't once. I pulled you and I was like, why are you talking about reference frames when it wasn't part of your definition? And you've been asked specifically what gives rise to the Coriolis effect. And then you do it again, mouthing off about angular, whatever the bloody hell you were talking about.
Yeah, he's trying to tie conservation of momentum. He's an idiot. It has nothing to do with it. Conservation of energy, my word. He's just looking at it like at a dictionary, like a 19 physics glossary or something, and just spouting terms. He has no idea what he's talking about. Coriolis effect is very simple, right? We had the diagram or the GIF up on screen. It's real easy, like Nathan said. To afford the Coriolis effect's existence, you need an inertial frame of reference and a non-inertial frame of reference. That's it. That's all you need. It's an apparent deflection. It's no planes are being deflected. No clouds are being deflected. It's only an apparent deflection. Why? Because the observer that's looking at it is on the rotating reference frame. Simple.
Simple if it was real. However, we don't observe any Coriolis effect on Earth. If we did, the necessary constituent parts to give rise to the Coriolis effect would be an Earth rotating underneath aeroplanes. And if the Earth rotated underneath aeroplanes, the continent that you're travelling to, given a certain direction, would be travelling towards you as you travel through the air. And you'd arrive really, really quickly, thanks to the Earth rotating underneath, the necessary constituent part to have Coriolis effect. The only problem being that never ever happens. And when we have examples given to us, well, there's a slightly different duration in time between west to east and east to west. And then we find that, in fact, planar walkers, as gave the example yesterday, messed it up and ended up giving us a time that was actually the other way round, longer, going in a westerly direction. When travelling west, you should have the Earth turning underneath, bringing that continent towards you quicker. So he made a complete balls up of it. Now, had it been the case that it was shorter in that duration, he would have absolutely asserted his fundamentalist religious belief that Earth curve caused that. But because it worked against him, suddenly he's making our argument that it's wind. It's like, oh right. So when it didn't go in your favour, these difference in durations of times, you just blame it on wind, even though once you've accounted for wind, it brings you a net difference of 0. No Earth turning underneath whatsoever.
Yeah, and what they do is they just say, they don't get specific. They just say the flights will be different. But as I've shown, it should be hours difference from the Charlotte, North Carolina flight to the Los Angeles flight. We're talking hours, from 1.5 hours to 4.5 hours. So, yeah, it's a joke. It's an ambiguous joke. They bring in equators, north and south directions, right? It has the Coriolis effect, has nothing to do with that. Just go to Wiki, their alma mater, and just look at the GIF. There's no equators. There's no latitude or longitude lines. They just have a merry-go-round and throwing a ball to describe the Coriolis effect. It's really simple. So that's all I got for that.
Yeah, they have to make that shit complicated. There needs to be a Coriolis effect if you've got a spinning ball Earth. There isn't a Coriolis effect because we're not budging a smegging inch.
I've been hearing a lot of people, a lot of flat earthers telling me to stick on to this argument, the Coriolis effect argument, because it just clobbers the hell out of them. I've gotten a whole bunch of messages about that, so just want to let you know that.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. As I was reading through the few of the messages, there's a fair few people that were very complimentary about yesterday's show, and they were like, even I got it. And the one comment explained that the explanation given when somebody takes off and then turns around to start fighting Earth turn, when that got detailed by Planar Walk in argument, it was like, suddenly it really made sense. It's complete nonsense. You're not going to take off, retain 1,000 miles an hour speed, have to overtake the spinning ball Earth with your speed. But then if you did a complete U-turn in the air, what happens then?
Yeah, time warp.
Yeah, suddenly what? You're actually traveling 1,000 miles an hour backwards?
Unbelievable, man. Yep. What happens when the runway is facing west?
That's what I said. What happens if your runway's facing west? You're going to take off going backwards, right? If they're claiming that you retain the spin, then you travel forwards, and when you actually take off the ground, what does a plane take off at? A couple of 100 miles an hour? Maybe less?
150, 175, somewhere
That's
around
what I thought, a bit less than that. Right, so you take off, and you've got... if you're on the equator, you're effectively doing minus... Well, not minus, but, you've got a net loss of 800 miles an hour at the equator. So you're essentially going... you're going backwards, even if they claim you're retaining the speed of the Earth as it spins. I mean, it's just a complete clusterfuck.
And then when then you stop, you're in suspended animation until you overcome.
Yeah, that's it. You're watching, you take off, and suddenly you're looking at the ground below you, and you're going backwards, and you go, shit, we'll have to catch up this ground eventually.
I'm going to be late, this damn red eye.
Right, and then over the Tannoy, ladies and gentlemen, we will be shortly overtaking Earth turn. We've just got to get up that Get up to that 1,500-mile-an-hour cruising speed.
Just got to kick in the turbos real quick.
That's it.
Hey, I have a question. So whenever someone doesn't back up a claim, but claims that you don't understand whatever the discussion is about, that has to be some kind of logical fallacy, right? What is that called? Is it an appeal to something, like an appeal to your knowledge or something like that? Because I get that a lot. They're like, "Oh, you just don't understand that," and I feel like it's used as a weapon more than it is actually based in reality.
It's just a baseless assertion fallacy.
No, I just think he doesn't understand.
No, I know you guys think he doesn't understand, but y'all would actually back it up.
No,
I'm saying is
I think
a lot of times.
I think you just don't understand.
But you can think of it as he's understanding.
I do understand, but
no, you don't. This could go on all day. Sorry, I'm completely hijacking your point. You're right. They do use it as a weapon, the bastards.
Yeah, it's difficult because I've had that a lot on like YouTube, on comments where they're like, "Oh, you just don't understand. You know, you need to go back to school or something." And it's like, no, the Coriolis effect doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't make sense. It's not that I don't understand it. I mean, maybe I don't because it doesn't make any sense.
No, the Coriolis effect does make sense on a merry-go-round. It just doesn't make sense in reference to the Earth.
Right. I feel like it's the same thing with the whole gravity trampoline thing. You know, it's like, oh, it makes sense on the trampoline. You know, it makes sense on a merry-go-round, and then you get people who are like, yeah, whenever you throw a bowling ball on a skateboard and you go backwards or whatever, and it's like, we don't live on a skateboard. We don't live on a merry-go-round or a trampoline. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, the skateboard example, that's old 2015 argument. They forget that the damn skateboard and its wheels are attached to the damn Earth. Idiots. It's
exactly
it's in a long list of train wrecks. It's just like the star rotation, counterclockwise and clockwise nonsense. It's like retards are us or something, because that argument is one of the stupidest arguments I've ever heard.
It really frustrates me, the Coriolis argument, because it is very, very simple, and like earlier, we got to the point where Zanuck is saying that the example that he hasn't cited and hasn't backed is contrasted by a roundabout with a dome on it and a force field around the atmosphere that's attached to the roundabout as it spins. Like, that's what they've got to explain and argue after not defining what the Coriolis effect is. It's so obfuscated in nonsense, and it seems like anybody who's willing to discuss the subject of Earth-based Coriolis effect will be prepared to go to the ends of the Earth in their nonsense assertions. Like that was pretty extreme. I've got to be honest. A force field roundabout with a dome over it.
Not with the swimming pool.
Oh yeah, it got even worse, didn't it? A rotating swimming pool.
On a merry-go-round.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think it's one of the most glaring. Once people get it, and a few people did have to plan a walk. Thank you, plan a walk. They go, oh my god, yeah, it couldn't possibly be spinning. It suddenly makes a lot more sense. But you have to get the simple argument to be heard amongst 1,000 people saying I'm Brian and describing different things that aren't Coriolis and detailing it as something that's to do with
why
it.
Yesterday, I'm sorry, Nathan. That's why when I asked Planner Walk what direction that he mentioned was going faster, I made sure to have him repeat it 3 times so that he understood what direction the Earth was supposed to be moving, the plane is supposed to be moving, and how it should never happen that flight should be longer. ever, ever, ever. But it does. So again, thanks, Planar Walk.
Yeah, and two, also remember what I said before about that chocolate is don't let them get away with just saying shorter flight. Try to get them down into the amount of time it'll be shorter or longer. Because you're going to get a difference in flight times because of wind, headwinds. If you're traveling west, if the damn jet stream is traveling east, right? It's going to be a little bit, there's going to time offsets, right? However, we're talking hours that they should be different.
In a mega long flight, you can have hours of difference, but it would be considerably longer. So flying to somewhere in the Far East, for the sake of argument, you end up with 14, 15, 16-hour flights. Well, you can have it be the case that you end up with a 13, 14-hour flight on the return, if you're lucky with wind. But in other words, you can shave a couple of hours off a really long flight if you've got really favourable tailwinds. But it pales in comparison when you calculate what should have been happening if the continent was coming towards you. With
Exactly,
the Earth
you got it. Yep, exactly.
Also, you might as well just, if the turn was going against you, you might as well just go up into the air and wait until it comes around back to you.
Yeah,
that's right.
Instead of going against it.
Well,
that's right.
Well, somebody said it. I think it was Arwin said you could just jump, and Earth would spin underneath you. Well, yeah, that's absolutely correct. There's no Velcro holding the bottom layer of atmosphere to the Earth. It's either two reference frames or it isn't. In other words, if you're holding a ball on a roundabout and you throw it in the air, the moment it leaves your hand, it continues going up and down, essentially in a straight line, up and then down again. But is it into your hand? No, because it's gone into the second reference frame as soon as it left your hand. Well, the same would be applicable to you if you jumped off the non-inertial reference frame of a spinning Earth. You jump up, it continues to rotate underneath. That's what Coriolis effect is. But it's preposterous when you talk about you jumping, but yet they'll give the convoluted mechanical example with it attached to a building just spinning back and forth or swinging back and forth in the case of a pendulum. And that's supposed to be...
Yeah, but how can...
Go on.
I'm sorry. How can gases who don't have any intermolecular bonds? Of course, you don't even need to know this to destroy this argument. Just east, north, and south surface winds destroys that argument. However, but gas behavior, to be a gas, there's no intermolecular bonds, and they move freely and randomly at high speeds. It's an in-your-face contradiction. Everyone knows that the gases aren't attached to the Earth, for crying out loud. I mean, this is preposterous, man.
But worse still, if they were attached, which gets, you're right, the pummeling of this, the biggest pummeling, is the winds going in all directions. That's simply impossible if you've got an Earth rotating underneath. You can't have attached atmosphere and all different directions of winds and Coriolis. The whole thing's a complete train wreck. But they've got to obfuscate it, because if you can make it seem complicated enough, people will come out the other end of an argument going, I don't understand.
Yeah, that's what they've got to do. Deny, deny, deny. Obfuscate, obfuscate, obfuscate.
I have a question for Sleeping Warrior, but it's kind of separate from this. If y'all want me to save this question, it was from housekeeping, but if y'all want me to keep talking about this and have me save it a little bit, I'm cool with that too.
You go ahead.
I'm pretty sure they're happy with Coriolis being destroyed. So if you want to ask your question, I'm pretty sure there won't be any objection.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought, but I didn't want to, impose. So when you said, is the sun a physical, tangible object? Now, for me, I feel like that's in kind of an experiential, like an observable thing, because we all feel, I would imagine, we all feel heat, and we all feel the sun's rays. So does that make it tangible, or were you talking about it in a different context? Like, is it tangibly 93 million miles away?
Well, in the context of like a physical object with a determinable distance, a measurable distance, it has to be physical for it to be measurable. Now, we see something in the sky that looks like it's round. It looks like it's about the same size as the moon. And how would you know that it's closer or further away? All right. So it comes down to it reduces down to this. There is a difference between actual size and apparent size. The actual size can be whatever size it is, but from a distance that we're at, whatever that distance is, it has an apparent size, and the size shrinks the further away it goes. That's the definition of apparent size. A fixed location or a fixed distance gives you an angular size. So it's subject to knowing the distance to get the angular size. Now, we see something in the sky. It appears to be the same size as the moon, roughly, give or take. And we're trying to work out how we know it's that distance away. And we haven't got any evidence for it. So to answer your question, is it physical or not, or tangible? We need to be able to ascertain and prove that it is a physical object first, before we try and calculate that it's tangible, that it's distance. Because if it's not physical and it's metaphysical, then are we not chasing shadows?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I was just trying to make sure because I was like, I feel like we personally experience it every day of our lives. So I was like, it's definitely something, but we haven't actually been close enough to it to know exactly what it is. So that's kind of why I just wanted to clarify that. I don't agree or disagree. I was just kind of thinking about it, and I was like, how is it not?
It's a definition thing. It's a definition thing. Tangible, capable of being touched, discernible by the touch, material or substantial. 2, real or actual rather than imaginary or visionary. And then underneath the example, the tangible benefits of sunshine is the literal example it gives you on dictionary.com.
Well, see, we can't touch it, but I think it touches us in that respect.
You can't touch it though. You can't run a tape measure to it, for example.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I didn't understand that particular definition of tangible. I guess maybe I think I was wrong on the definition. Yeah. Yeah. It isn't tangible. Okay. I think that answers my.
To get off on a slightly different topic, has anyone seen Dr. Brian Peckerwood?
I asked at the end of the show if people in the chat would spam it where it would be seen by Mr. Pecker. Is it Pecker?
Brian Peck.
Peck, not Pecker. Peck. Brian Peck.
Right. Yeah. So we're pretty sure this man has no dick.
Oh, you read my mind, bro.
No need. Very funny though.
Arwen. Now its official name is Dr. Brian Peckerwood. He was called out. Where is he? Let me check if he's in here.
Who's got an IMDb profile? Brian Peck has no dick. Interesting.
I misquoted it. Sorry, it's no. Yes. Like, is this true? Yes, it's true. This man has no dick. That's the real quote. It's from Ghostbusters, by the way. Where the environmentalist and inspector was also called Peck.
Yep. As soon as I heard Peck, it's awesome.
All right, what else? Anything new? What do we got here in live stream? Is there any globetards in here? Let me check through. Boy, there's a lot of people in here, man.
Jesus, Vinny Mac is still spamming my name. Like, I haven't been here for an hour, and he's constantly still spamming my name in chat. Guy.
Which chat? Which chat are you talking about?
Actually,
the chat from the Hangout or from the YouTube? Probably from before.
Hey,
this is the after show, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, sir. I heard my name called. Go ahead.
Danny T is a globetard. I can't a lot to say here.
Danny, say it again. Danny T. Oh, I see him right now. Danny T. Let's see. Yeah, he's off. Well, he's on mute, but he can come off mute. Danny T. Do you have any scientific evidence of your spinning ball religion? And you could pick anyone on this panel if you'd like. Or not.
Or not.
He was spotting out that flat earthers can't do trigonometry or geometry.
Trigger what?
Trig?
Never heard of it.
Did he specify which trig? Planar trig or spherical trig? Was he that specific or just trig in general?
Trig in general.
We're looking for scientific evidence on this debate show. This isn't a mathematics forum. Mathematics isn't physics or science, so he's in the wrong genre. Can somebody tell him that? And tell him to go find the maths forum, please. Thanks.
I wonder if they have maths forums that talk about the shape of the Earth. Oh, sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
Sorry, it's funny because he thinks that trig mathematics is science. So that's what I was hoping he come in here and spouted his nonsense.
Mathematics is science. That's like beach balls or amoebas. So, anyone else?
Share your pain.
Hey, that's my line.
That's
Come
Spurs
off
line.
mute and share your pain.
Do you have resident counselling available from Spurs Chemo?
Oh, that's right. That's what we were missing. Spurs.
Yeah, resident counsellor. He'll put his arm around you.
I'll tell you what. None of these people will talk. I know who will talk.
Zanuck, Dawn.
You got it. Zanuck. I'll let him off mute. I'll let him off into the general population. Just say the word.
And with that. No, anything. Still here, Anthony?
Yeah, I'm just wondering why there's so many people in the Discord. None of them are speaking, but they're all there.
Nope.
Well, you were talking about cars at the end of one of the other after shows, like randomly, and as I've just been to see a shed of a car, which they all will be in my price range.
Oh.
Do you want to know what it was or what I thought of it? Or you're not interested?
Oh no, I love cars. Tell me all about it. I mean, hang on, is this the other car? So it was the Lexus?
Yeah, the Lexus. I mean, it's like 13 years old. It had 160,000 miles, but it was actually really well kept. But it just felt like it was worn. You know what I mean?
Everything was loose and sloppy on it.
It wasn't that it was even loose and sloppy. It just kind of, it's hard to describe when something's just worn, when it's well used. Even if it's well taken care of, you know, if you've lived with it as it's become worn, you don't notice.
Yeah.
Whereas I kind of got in it, and there was a couple of faults with it as well. The boot didn't open, trunk, 2 Americans. There's a couple of other things, a couple of buttons didn't work, and I'm like, yeah, you kind of expect that, but it's cheap as chips, so it's to be expected, right? I'm gonna call the guy and ask if I can look at another one. I've seen, this is the second car I've looked at. I'm gonna go and look at a third, exactly the same car. Then just pick whichever one's the least shitty.
Are we still recording?
Yeah. No one else is talking. That's why I'm talking cars.
Okay. I got an EGR valve for my car today, and literally I opened the bonnet. Bear in mind it's already disassembled. There was a water pipe in the way, so I disconnected one side of it, and it was a plastic water pipe rather than rubber, and it looked like it had flex on the 90-degree bend. So I just flexed it out the way because it was in the way. And it fucking sheared at the other end where it connects to the manifold. It didn't give on the 90-degree bend because it didn't flex the way it looks like it would have done. So as I moved it out of the way, it was putting pressure, and the strain of me moving it was being manifest at the other end of the pipe where it connected into this branch manifold thing. And it fucking dropped all its coolant, and I was like, you fucking bastard. So where I expected and where it looked like it was going to give, didn't fucking give. It was rock solid, and it didn't move, and I put too much pressure on it to move it, but the thing sheared at the other end, and now I've got to buy the whole new bloody plastic pipe, and it's
just the pipe sheared. I was going to say the whatever it was attached to didn't shear off then.
Yeah.
That's because of the Coriolis.
72 quid for the replacement bloody pipe. Oh my bastard.
That's because of the Coriolis. Who said that?
No, that was an actual force, not an apparent force. The bending of space pipe gave rise to the force of coolant drop.
Yeah. I've had to ring my mate and call in a favour because obviously the car's in bits now. I can't drive it and it's dropped all its coolant. I said, I either need to tow this to you or you need to come and collect it. I said, and you owe me a favour. He said, all right, I'm on my way. So he's coming on his low loader to tow it on the low loader for me so I don't have to fuck around with getting it towed. I can't believe it. Fucking gutted.
I can't believe I've got to go and buy a car. In some ways, I'd rather walk. I go back so heartbroken. I'm like, the second time I looked at one of these boring cars, and I'm like, man, these cars are so boring.
Give me 2 minutes, I'll be straight back.
And slow. And it you know, they're not. It's supposed to be a sporty car. Slow as all shit.
You guys want to talk about? Since you don't understand Coriolis, do you want to speak about Coriolis again, or want to move on to something else?
I want to talk about underpowered Japanese V6s.
Here's what you do: you put. I happen to have a specialty in that area. You put a turbo on it, and you got all that power is restored to any level you want.
I thought about that, and then I realised that I don't have a pot to piss in.
Compress the air, get another 14 psi pressure into that intake, match it with fuel, and suddenly you've doubled the power.
How do you get that? How do you get that pressure without a container?
How to get the pressure?
Without a container.
You use a turbocharger, which is a positive displacement device, which increases the pressure in your intake, which is normally below atmospheric pressure due to losses. So the piston goes down, the pressure of the outside air pushes down into the cylinder, fills it up with air, and then you mix fuel with that, and you get a certain amount of power for that amount of fuel and air mixture. You double the air mixture, that means you can double the fuel, you get double the power.
I know. My wife's got a turbo car. It's bad, really, because it spoilt me. The car I had before was supercharged when I was a rep, and it was brilliant.
Yep. My son just bought one of these little VW 1.8 liter, little teeny engine with a little turbo on it. That thing actually really moves for a little econo box.
Yeah, they do loads of them. They do. It's weird. VW and Audi do. Like I a few years back assumed incorrectly that they were all the same. They're 1.8 turbo, right? But there's loads of them. They're all different. And now it's the same for 2-litre turbo. So you buy a modern car and it says 2-litre turbo. And that could be anything up to the latest Merc, right? Which has got something like 400 plus horsepower from 4-banger with a turbo. And it's in a production normal car. Like AMG 45, I think it's called. 2-litre turbo, 400 horsepower. Just biblical.
Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Well, I started testing that in the race community, which I'm a part of. Started pumping these little 2.2, 2.3 liter Lancers, and they pumped them up to 500 horsepower, and they weren't falling. Everyone thought they would just blow up and be parts all over the track, and they were staying together. So the manufacturers took note of that and said, you know what, maybe we can start kicking up the power and use a smaller motor to get good gas mileage around town. But if you want to put your foot in it, you got all the power of a big V8.
Sure.
So it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Just high stress, isn't it? That's precisely what I'm trying to get away from. So what I want is something very low stress, very boring, so that it'll last a long time. So as opposed to turbo, I want something NA. But it sucks all the fun out of driving, doesn't it? But it'll be reliable and dependable and lots of other boring words that end in ibble.
Hey, did they test that on a roundabout?
Did they test what?
Roundabout?
Did they test that turbo on a roundabout?
Always. They test
the one with the swimming pool?
The centrifugal force of you slamming into the door as you make a 1.5 G turn.
Was it in?
Was it
in the swimming pool
really
or
fast on
without?
the roundabout? You have to put a scootmobile with the back wheel next to
Pool
it.
you seen those pools in the limousines? You've seen the pools in the limousines? You hit some little bit of black ice and you start spinning around. You got a pool spinning. There you go.
Nathan, what you need is a bubble car, and then you'll have your own little plastic.
Bubble car. That's what my wife's got.
The pool car. The pool. What was that? And from Caddyshack, the family truckster.
No, the little bubble.
The bubble car, like the Jetsons.
The family truck. That's not Caddyshack. Come on.
Well, that was
man.
Family Vacation. That was Vacation.
Summer
yeah,
vacation,
right.
man.
Chevy Chase. I got it mixed up.
Big Ben Parliament.
Like you're getting the
family
conservation of momentum and energy mixed up, like that.
No, momentum has energy.
Oh my God!
One half
Do you
MV,
know the?
one half
Let's
MV
get on
square.
this.
You
What
have
are
that
the
mass. You have that
conservation
mass,
laws?
and you have the velocity. 1/2 mv squared is the energy.
What are the conservation laws, Clown Show?
Conservation of energy, conservation of momentum, conservation of angular momentum, linear momentum. What do you
Yeah,
want?
math, man. Math proves it all. You don't need any independent variables.
Math describes it all. Doesn't prove it all.
Hmm.
Actually, you can use it to prove some things, but it's generally describes.
So would you agree that math can describe things that are not actually proven, but that still seem structurally sound and logical?
Sorry, did you say math?
Yeah,
Math describes everything. Is that what you just said?
The math is only as good. The only as good as the data you are putting into it. So yes, you can.
Yeah, that's
you can
what he
use
said.
math. You can use math to show something, but it doesn't prove anything.
Okay, so if it describes everything, you could give us a mathematical formula for germ theory then.
No.
Doesn't describe everything then.
Everything in the physical world.
GeoStreamer Clown. I think he's still trying to figure the answer to that question out. I think we need to ask him.
What question is that?
Germs are definitely physical.
Yeah, I was
Well,
going to
physical
say,
as in
germs not
dimensions.
physical now?
Newtonian
Proving a
dynamics.
black hole mathematically?
Dynamics, not actually describing, processes and structures.
But it doesn't describe everything then.
No, you're right. So I stand corrected.
Excellent.
Doesn't describe
Well,
everything.
at least you conceded that one. Now, don't whistle past this, guys. He conceded that. That's two concessions.
Using math.
That's two
Using
concessions he's made, though.
That's an amazing thing. When you guys are talking about Coriolis, I don't know why you can't understand the similarities and the analogy between something on a merry-go-round and you making your way from the outside to the center versus us being on the Earth. If we did have, if you concede or accept that we have a dome or atmosphere, the atmosphere moves with us. And yes, you can see the atmosphere and the Earth are moving.
How the
with
hell
us or
can
under us as
gases
we
move with a rotating solid body? That's the opposite of gas behavior.
No, it's not. Because
Right?
Newton's third law. Hold on, Newton's third law. Newton's third law, right? Everything stays
What the
in
hell
motion.
does Newton's third law have to do with this?
Because everything in motion stays in motion unless you act upon it by another force. So when that oxygen molecule comes off the plant, it goes
rotating with a solid
When the
body?
oxygen molecule comes off the plant, it goes straight up. It is moving with the Earth. It's not going to go anywhere else until it's been acted upon.
That's the opposite of
Everything
gas
comes from the
behavior.
Earth. It's
Gases
going
move
upward. It's spinning to begin with.
randomly and
It's spinning
freely
to
at
begin
high
with.
speeds, clown.
What?
My word.
So
What is gas
gases-
behavior? How do gases behave?
Yeah, took the words out of my mouth. What is
Are you
gas
going to talk about
behavior?
high pressure to low pressure? Is that what you want to talk about?
No. What makes a gas gas? What are the
P-
particles
PVNR
inside it doing?
Gas pressure behaves like PVNRT.
Gas-
What's your
yes.
point?
What's it doing?
And expands in all
PVNRT.
directions.
PVNRT.
There you go.
We're
Aaron's
not
just said it.
talking. Listen to the question. Describe gas behavior.
Gas will move if it is acted upon by a force. It will stay in place if it is not acted upon by a force.
It'll stay in place. It'll stay right. So gases
Wow.
don't
Take
move.
a cube of
helium
air,
random-
take the box,
Oh, my
unwrap
God.
it, and
Hold
then
on.
see the cube of air.
Hold on. Don't let this get lost. So we've just had the most ludicrous assertion from Zanuck ever.
Ludicrous, really? Okay,
Yeah.
let's hear about
so
this. How it's ludicrous.
Your claim is that gases, unless acted on by a force, don't move. That's what you said. Gases,
Yes, we
Zanuck,
did.
gases move freely and randomly in all directions. They're not attached to anything. So your assertion that they're travelling with a non-inertial reference frame is just preposterous. They're freely moving in all directions randomly.
They don't move or stay still?
Pardon? Say again.
You can have a volume of gas that is not moving.
No, by
In
definition,
a
a
reference
gas.
frame, but out of the reference frame,
Only
the
if it
secondary
found
reference
its
frame is
equilibrium
moving.
within a
If you had
container.
atmosphere in your car, you're going 100 miles an hour. That gas is moving 100 miles an hour to the guy on the side of the road. In the car, it's not moving.
Yeah,
That's
it
what
is.
we're talking about.
Yes, it is. All of the gas inside that car is
plane?
all moving in random directions. None of it's
Well, we're talking about we're talking about a third reference frame now.
No,
we're
it
talking about a third
doesn't
reference
matter.
Can I ask a question? What would happen
gas
if you
molecules-
had a
hold on.
Hold on, Owen.
pressurized
For some
airplane?
reason, Xanax decided to put it in a moving
Air
car.
is made up of
And
molecules
it makes
and
no
atoms.
difference what the container
Air is
is
made up of
or what the
molecules,
container's doing while he rumpuses the living hell out of me. It doesn't matter what the container is. It doesn't make any difference. Inside that container, be it a car, be it a tub of paint that's empty, it makes no difference what crazy container you come up with. The gas inside it, every single particle is freely moving randomly in all directions at all times. It's not static.
But
that's
the
what makes
volume
it.
of mass is
That's
not.
what make.
You
That's
concede
what.
that.
I haven't quite finished my sentence, Zanuck, but it just seems that this direct opposition to your claim doesn't need to be heard. It needs interrupting, doesn't it, Zanuck? That's what makes.
It doesn't.
That's
Doesn't
what
interrupt-
makes.
doesn't interrupt
I got to the same point again.
The
Unbelievable.
air mass can move.
I haven't finished speaking, Zanuck.
with the car.
That doesn't mean continue indefinitely. That's what makes a gas a gas. Its ability to randomly move in all directions freely, not attached. So by definition, it's not attached to a non-inertial reference frame. That's not what gas does.
If it's enclosed in a car, yes, it is. You have gas in a bottle, and you throw the bottle. The gas in the bottle is moving relative to the ground that it's being thrown over. Yes. So sorry.
Let me know when you finish.
Zanuck, we don't live in a bottle.
Let me. It doesn't matter. He's
don't live in a
just.
bottle.
He's
What
just.
kind of comment is
Zanuck.
that?
Zanuck, I'm trying to respond. So you're now.
You're trying, but you're not doing a very good job.
Yeah, you're just not going to let me talk. Is that the deal here? So you've inserted this extra directionality by putting it in a car or a bottle that you throw. And I'll say it again, it makes no difference if it's in a bottle that's stationary or moving. The gas, by definition, stationary in the bottle or moving in the bottle, the gas that's inside the bottle itself, by definition, is all moving at all times, randomly in all directions. That means it's moving when the bottle is stationary, randomly and freely in all directions, and it's moving randomly and freely inside the bottle in all directions and in the velocity that you've thrown it in the bottle. So it makes no difference, stationary or moving. The gas is still a gas, moving in all directions, randomly and freely, and not attached to anything.
Yeah, convection currents, wind currents, Coriolis, all these things that move and act on air masses, they're not real. That's just made up cartoon.
Coriolis is an apparent deflection.
with it?
Air's
Exactly.
not
Apparent
apparently
deflections are still
deflection.
real deflections, by the way.
No, you're
What?
the deflection here.
Yeah,
Everything you
apparent
said
deflection is still very real. Centrifugal force is still a real force.
Oh,
even though it's
goodness.
a
You're a
You're red
friggin'
herring.
clown.
Red herring, straw man, salesman.
You're in
right
my
here.
car. We take a turn. What do you think smashing your head into the window is caused by?
You driving the car at 100 miles an hour and then braking hard and
the
not being
force of
attached.
driving the car.
And
Again,
I
when you're back
hadn't
to this
finished. You
nonsense
see,
again?
he gives
Really?
out these questions, and then when a reply
No.
comes,
Let's
he
stay on that
continues
one.
to
Let's
talk
come
over
on.
the top.
I'm driving the car.
Shut up,
You're the force dude
So
driving the
I
car.
tried to
or
answer
is it
your
because I'm
questions,
taking a turn
but you
and
just
pulling
decided to rumpus me. So I'm going to have to shut down your line because you're an asshole. So you said, what force causes me to smash into the windscreen? Well, initially, it would be the effect of you burning a considerable amount of petrol in an underpowered Japanese V6, travelling up to 100 miles an hour without a seatbelt on, and then applying the brakes. Now, because there's nothing preventing you from going forward, unlike when you were being propelled with a seat back behind you, you don't have a seat back in front of you. There's nothing resisting you when the car decelerates, so you continue to fly forward. So the force that's acting on you is the car accelerating. But for the fact that the car accelerated in the first instance, you wouldn't be continuing to be propelled forward without anything resisting you when the car slowed down. So the car would be the reason. You putting your foot on the gas pedal would be the reason.
Falls me dropping it.
You then braking would be the reason.
Your logic is
but I'm not
beyond
allowed to come to the actual
approach.
conclusion before I get interrupted.
It's the momentum that eventually does it.
We're talking about the force that your head hits the glass with. What does that force do to? It's very pseudo. It's a pseudo force, a centrifugal force. The centripetal force is keeping you in the car.
What are you
Centripetal
talking
force is
about?
smashing your head against the window.
He said it's very pseudo.
No, the car seat and the
You
car,
you guys
and the
don't
frame
understand
and the
what a
tires,
pseudo-force
those
is.
things. You see, I'm trying
pseudo-force is
again. I
very
start
real.
giving a rebuttal, and you keep talking, Zanuck. So yeah, the car, the seat, the tires, the petrol being burned. Those are all the things that caused an initial force to propel you forwards. That's
Initial
why.
force, huh? Initial.
Yeah.
So
and
you're
then
admitting
you
there's more than one force. There's many forces going on, isn't there?
Who cares?
There's a force in the tires. There's a force in the driveline. There's a force in the chassis, on the seat, on you, on the belt. There's a lot of forces going on.
Okay, and what force is on the aeroplane to cause the apparent deflection caused by Coriolis effect? What force is on that plane?
There's a force from the conservation of angular or linear momentum.
Oh my god!
So what you're saying is the curve is caused by a force on the plane.
The atmosphere and the earth, you can say, are moving underneath you, but you have to work against the force to keep your straight line of path.
You have to work
If you don't,
against
you
the
will
force.
curve off to the right.
Don't
And that's
turn to
not
the
a
dark
force.
side, dude.
Apparent deflection.
Apparent, what's that? I mean,
It's an apparent deflection. There's no forces.
what
You would
does
just be
apparent
deflecting
mean?
to the right.
Oh,
Not
no
any force at all.
forces. No forces.
No forces now.
No forces.
It's a pseudo. Well, I'm saying from the frame of reference of you
So
being
you
in the.
just said we had to work against a force. Now I'm trying to establish what force, and you say an apparent force, not actual force, a non-force.
If the Earth was not there, you'd be going in a straight line. Correct? We already agreed that the Earth is moving underneath you.
Not if the planes do go in a straight line, and nobody notices any apparent deviation, and the Earth does not rotate underneath them. So no, we don't observe any of these effects in aeroplanes, Zanuck. I'm very confused.
The air and the Earth you can be thought of as moving underneath you, and you would be deflected to the right without any force at all.
Yeah, that doesn't happen though. The planes don't get deflected. We don't see any force on them. They don't have a continent coming towards them at
very nice
exponential speed.
hypothetical setup.
There is none of these effects demonstratable in aeroplanes, Zanuck.
Yes. Yeah, there is actually. You talked to my father's a pilot 40 years. You'll attest to it. What are you talking about?
Oh God.
We're talking about a 1.5 mile an hour. per
Hold
minute,
on.
okay?
Hold on. Bring.
listening?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Bring. Hello. Is this Zanuck's dad? What's that you say? Okay, thank you. He said, tell him to stop asking people to phone up about Coriolis effect. No, there isn't.
There is. What are you talking about? Why
I
wouldn't
just
there
spoke
be?
to your dad.
You've already proved that there is.
I just spoke to him. He said no, and tell people to stop
If
calling
the Earth
him.
is moving, which you will not concede, I'm sure, there is a Coriolis effect, and we can.
Yeah, if the Earth is moving, there is a Coriolis effect. I will absolutely concede. If the Earth is moving, there is a Coriolis effect. Now, do planes experience shortened travel because the Earth
And you are correct.
rotates
Come on,
underneath?
Is that me? My turn. My turn.
Well, I asked a question, a direct question. So, I will concede, as you have asked, that if the Earth turns, there is a Coriolis effect. Now I'm going to ask, do planes have shortened durations of travel because the Earth rotates underneath?
Again. That has nothing to do with it.
That's the essence of Coriolis effect. So, if the Earth rotates, there's a Coriolis effect. And when I ask for a demonstration of Coriolis effect, he tells me that's got nothing to do with it.
The atmosphere. That's why there's no shorter time flights left or right.
Yeah, that would be necessitated if Earth had a Coriolis effect. If the Earth rotated underneath an aeroplane, that would be very beneficial because you could have your time of travel shortened quite considerably because the Earth would rotate underneath. Unfortunately, nobody ever gets this benefit because the Earth does not rotate underneath.
Earth and the atmosphere.
Remember from the
Earth and the atmosphere. Remember? Both.
Nathan? There was actually a flight time laterally that was actually longer than it should be if there was a Coriolis effect.
Yeah, we had that yesterday with Planet Walk. He gave us an example, Zanik, and unfortunately,
that's not true.
The time traveling
is different.
Time traveling west.
Hold on.
He's going to rumpus us.
Is different.
Let's shut down that line. It's too triggered. Fundy globe mute button being used while I'm talking again. Bum holes. So yeah, unfortunately, Zanik, if you weren't so triggered, you might be able to hear what I'm saying, but the audience will. So yeah, Planet Walk tried to lay this out for us yesterday. And in his example, a plane travelling from New York to LA, where the Earth should rotate underneath and shorten the duration of travel, the actual duration was longer in that direction.
That's bullets. Yeah, he's full. I listened to him, and you were not understanding what he was saying. But you're up.
Yeah, we understood. We wrote it down. Wow. We listened. He went and checked it. He gave us the durations of time and said that it took longer when the Earth would be rotating underneath, and then he explained it away, saying that was the wind.
He was saying when he took off with the eastward direction, he was going 1,000 miles an hour, faster than his airspeed, which is true. But
he was going 1,000 miles an hour faster than his airspeed. So you're saying that planes travel at 1,500 miles per hour, Zanik?
Above the Earth, from a second frame of reference, yes.
In the second frame of reference. So above the Earth, it's a second frame of reference, Zanik. See, that's very interesting. So now, according to you, it's not like the domed roundabout with only one reference frame with the atmosphere travelling with the Earth. It's definitely in a second reference frame, Zanik, correct?
He was confusing you. The airspeed versus the ground speed are intrinsically tied together. Has nothing to do with the Earth's rotation. Zero. Nothing.
Oh, well, then there's no Coriolis effect then.
You can't have your Coriolis effect.
Sorry, Zanik.
Oh, that's such a shame. Zanik. You were doing so well until you said that, because that would imply that there is no Coriolis effect then, Zanik. That's a real shame.
You already said you believe in Coriolis if the Earth is moving.
Oh, I don't believe in Coriolis. Coriolis is absolutely real. If you are on a non-inertial reference frame and you throw a ball into an inertial reference frame, you will experience an apparent deviation of that ball because you continue to rotate underneath. If the Earth was a rotating ball and you threw a ball, you would experience it curving because you continue to rotate underneath. And likewise, a plane would have the Earth rotating underneath, and your duration of travel would be exponentially shortened. According to your new position, the Earth and atmosphere travel as one, therefore no Coriolis effect.
With the Earth. What part of that don't you understand?
Yeah, I understand. You're saying it now travels with the Earth. Therefore, no Coriolis effect.
The atmosphere is tied to the Earth. Inextricably tied to the Earth, yeah.
And there's no Coriolis effect.
How
is there Coriolis, Zanik?
Fourth time, we heard. If they are attached, then there is only one reference frame and no Coriolis effect. So your claim that the Earth and atmosphere travel as one, even though we have north, east, south, and west surface winds flying in the face of this nonsense, even though gas by definition expands randomly in all directions and isn't attached to anything, again flying in the face of this example, even though all those things hold true, you still believe that a single reference frame can give you a Coriolis effect.
Let
You
me
don't
put
know.
up the graph for
You're
you guys.
failing to understand how Coriolis works.
I knew it.
Show
Anthony,
it.
we need a little ding bell when we get to them being obliterated. He's just claimed that we don't understand Coriolis effect. Yeah, we absolutely do. But I'm going to test your knowledge, Zanik.
As you move right,
I'm going to test your knowledge, Zanik. You've just claimed I don't
Nathan?
understand, Zanik. So don't rumpus. We're going to test
Because
your
you keep on saying there's no
Zanik.
Coriolis.
Zanik, we're going to
And there
test
is
your knowledge.
already
Don't rumpus.
I'll
We're going to
mute-
test
I'll
your
mute him.
knowledge.
You don't have to mute the whole. Hold on a second, Nathan. You don't have to mute everyone in there. I'll just mute him, and after you're done, I'll unmute him.
Okay, if you can
So
pay
in the
attention
meantime,
long
can you
enough.
present me, please?
Let's test your knowledge, Zanik, about Earth-based Coriolis effect. There's the Earth and atmosphere. Which of those two is the non-inertial reference frame? Go.
the non-inertial reference frame is the Earth and the atmosphere.
That's two. That's two. Which of those two is the non-inertial reference frame?
They're both tied together.
Well, then
The atmosphere and the Earth are moving in the same
Zanik,
direction.
I
tied
heard your
together.
answer. Zanik. Okay. So you're saying of a choice of two, you say, no, it's only one reference frame. Earth and atmosphere are one reference frame, correct?
Correct.
Then there is no Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect requires there to be two reference frames. So in the case of the Earth, you would need the Earth and atmosphere to be separate reference frames to have a Coriolis effect. The fact that you're asserting that these gases, which are expanding randomly in all direction and not attached to anything, are actually spinning in unison with a spinning ball Earth, not only defies what gas can do, but also isn't conducive to having a Coriolis effect.
That's where you're wrong.
And wave dismissal. No, I'm not wrong. The Coriolis effect is very simple to describe. The non-inertial reference frame with you on it and a ball in your hand is one reference frame. When the ball is released, it enters the inertial reference frame, the second reference frame, and travels in a straight line. Because you continue to rotate it underneath, it appears to take a curved path. That is Coriolis effect. If it was comparable to a spinning ball Earth with Coriolis effect, you would throw a ball into the second reference frame and see it deviate, as described or claimed to be the case with sniper rifles bullets, where they are claimed to take a curved path from your position and the Earth rotates underneath, moving the target. Second reference frame is where the bullet travels. First reference frame is the non-inertial reference frame of the Earth. So, two reference frames needed for a Coriolis effect. You, Zanik, are claiming one reference frame.
The second reference frame shows the object going straight. The initial reference frame, the primary reference frame, is you with the Earth and the atmosphere moving north. That is one reference frame.
God.
That shows Coriolis. From the second reference frame, we would not be curving. We would just be going straight.
So what's the second
Does that
reference
make
frame?
So there's
Why
no
can't you-
Coriolis. Oh
What's
my
the
God.
second reference frame then?
That is the definition of Coriolis.
He
You have an
hasn't-
No,
apparent
the
He's just gonna
Coriolis
rumpus,
are
are
two
we?
reference frame. No Coriolis,
You are
one
so no. You
reference
do not
frame.
need two reference frames. You have,
Yes,
Yes,
you do.
That's what
Oh
the
my
essence
God,
of
yes, you
Coriolis
do.
effect is. Having two reference frames is what you require to have Coriolis effect. One reference frame does not give
Shifted
you
to the right.
Coriolis effect.
shifted to the east.
Are you nuts?
If you go north, you are shifted to the right with an apparent force.
Oh, he's just going to start spouting off fundamentalist assertions now. He's just going to fundamentalist religious
Back to your
diarrhea.
merry-go-round. No, it's no different.
I'm gonna stop.
Sonic, what was the speed you said?
Yeah, this guy's into
I wanna
some
know what-
serious Coriolis confusion delirium here.
What was the speed he said that from west to east a plane would travel?
No, he's talking about north. It doesn't have anything to do with directions. Coriolis effect. Just go to Wiki, type in Coriolis effect, go to Wiki, their alma mater, and look over at the GIF on the right-hand side, and it'll explain it to you. Inertial frame of reference and a rotating non-inertial frame of reference. That's what you need to afford the existence of the Coriolis effect. It's just that simple.
Yeah, but he said that from west to east, that the plane would travel about over 1,000, like about 1,500 miles an hour or something.
Yeah, he said from west to
Mach 2.
east. So when the plane takes off, if the runway is pointed to the east, so when the plane takes off, then it'll be catapulted to, because it's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour if we just take the equator as our runway point. So it'll be catapulted. So you got to add on the airspeed and the rotating speed. So it'll be about 1,500 miles an hour airspeed.
So Mach 2?
Zanuck basically denied that the atmosphere is not lockstep with the Earth, so there is no Coriolis effect on the Earth, even if it were spinning, according to him.
I mean,
Well, he had
but what airliner travels in Mach 2?
Well, he had a bunch of different reference frames too. First, he started out with the atmosphere and the Earth being one reference frame and space being the second reference frame. And then he went to the atmosphere being the reference or the second reference frame. And then he circled his way back to the atmosphere being attached with the Earth one reference frame.
I didn't call you,
and
you called me.
Stuck in the middle was the swimming pool on the roundabout. That's it.
No, I haven't called you 3 times.
Oh, Nathan, we can hear you.
Look, he's nothing to do with me. Zanuck is not my friend. Look, don't call me back, okay?
What did he call you on Skype?
Look, right, he called Zanuck's dad once, and then he's apparently getting bombarded with phone calls, and he called me back because I was the last number in, and started having a go at me like I'm pestering him. I phoned him once at request of Zanuck. Next thing you know...
I would thought hey, Nathan, you're live.
Nathan's good. He even did the phone call effect and all that.
No, I didn't do that. That was someone else. I just took the.
Yeah, that was me. That was me.
Okay, nice.
That was epic.
Good timing.
Yeah. So recover. I don't. Do you want me to let him loose in the general population again? Just give me the word.
No, unless if you unmute him and he's saying Coriolis is real, Earth has it, and all that, then yeah, just stick him straight back on mute.
All right, you want me to let him go? General population, here he comes. Brace yourself.
No, don't do it.
Hello, welcome back.
I'm free. Thank you for letting me loose.
So, have you settled down yet on whether there be 2
I took
or
a Xanax.
1 reference frames?
I took a Xanax. I took a couple Xanax and a big warm glass of milk.
Aha.
So now I'm mellow.
Okay.
So the point I was trying to make, if we can just talk about this calmly and clearly, was that the inertial frame of reference of you on the Earth, or let's use the merry-go-round, and I like to use the swimming pool because it has a medium, so you can simulate atmosphere on the Earth.
So did you just say?
Can you finish making your point, please?
Well, because he started very badly, Owen. He said if you're on the inertial frame of reference, and then he said on the roundabout or the Earth.
Yeah, and then he wandered off to 5 other things, but.
Yeah, but that's not the inertial frame.
That's not the. Sorry, that's Owen. It's devastating. He started off describing incorrectly the reference frame he was referring to, so he doesn't understand which is the inertial and non-inertial. I asked him earlier to define it. It got rumpus to all hell. But his opening gambit when we take him off mute is to incorrectly define the reference frame he's talking about. Just to point that out.
Oh, hold on a second. We got a player. 1 second. Zep Tepe. Zanuck, hold off for a bit. Zep Tepe.
You got it.
Zep Tepe, you are off mute. You're making comments here in the live stream. Go ahead and come off mute. Let's go. Share your pain. Zeptepi. This guy is in live chats. He stalks Anthony's comment thread, but yeah, he's even in this room. So come out wherever you are.
Come on, Zep.
Come on, Zep Teppy. Let's see who you really are.
There you
Faces
go.
troll.
Anthony's here. It'll just be you and Anthony. How about that? We won't even say anything, will we, guys?
Come on, Zubby. You know what Zubby is, don't you, Zep? Zubby. Look it up. That's you. It goes in the context of Tel Has Zubbi. If you know anything about Arabic, then that'll make sense to you. If you don't, then you're just ignorant, and that's okay.
Zanuck, you're clicking in the background. Can you go on mute, please? Zanuck.
Yes.
You're clicking. It sounds like you're playing bingo in the background. Can you go on mute?
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Bingo.
Come on,
Where's Zep Teppy? Let's see it. Let's hear it.
Let's hear it, Zep. What's cooking?
He's a big talker, boy, on the comment sections and in this server. So he throws down a lot of posts. He throws down a lot of gauntlets. Go ahead. Come off mute.
He's probably like, oh, damn, they saw me come in here. Now I can't leave because it's going to make me look soft.
Even Betty's, trying to give him some confidence. She said it in Dutch. I think he's Dutch.
Come on, Zeb. We're all nice guys in here.
He's talking English. He's even typing in the live stream. Come on, Zep. Just come off mute. It's the water's warm. No sharks.
There you go, John. You got to use the indoor voice. That might get him in.
Je kan het, Zet Teppy. Je krijgt het vreten raamlikker. Come off of mute. For those who don't, can you translate that Dutch for us, Arwen? I just called him a krijgt het vreten raamlikker. What does that mean?
Arwen's got his camera on a black page and isn't responding, I'm afraid.
Oh, that's too bad. He was here the whole time. He can't even do translations for me. All right. It appears that we can't convince Zep Teppy to come in. How about money? We could give you some cash because we'd like to hear you.
I want Zep Teppy to come off mic. Come on, Zep. Let's see who you are. See your vocal larynx.
So wasn't Planner Walk talking about?
Hold on, Zanuck. Hold on, Zanuck. We're trying. Can you coax Zep Teppy?
You guys are being too rude to them. I'm the only one that can take your abuse.
Being too rude. We're just one of it.
Do you feel abused, Zanuck?
No, I can take it. It's not a big deal to me. You guys want to just keep on yapping? That's fine. You don't want to listen.
Zanuck, seriously? Zanuck, really? We're sitting, literally inviting him in. He's already in. So we're just telling him, hey, come off mute and let's have a talk.
He said $1,000 would do it.
For Zep Teppy?
Yes.
$1,000.
Yep. He's not going to come off mute. So
no, that's okay. What he's saying is, in order for me to actually talk and converse with you, I'd require $1,000. That's how big of a recluse I am. Fair enough.
Right.
If you're that shy that you'd need $1,000 to just talk in a room that's obviously with lots of people talking and linked up for communication in that manner, then fair enough. It takes all sorts in this little corner of the internet that we have. Some of the people that are bold as brass in chat are actually very, very shy individuals. So, I feel your pain, Zep. You're just very shy. Try to get out more.
We got another one our favorite. He hasn't been in here in a while. It is the virus is in. The virus, flat and level. What was he using? I can't remember the last time. What? Some
Tile work.
flooring. Say again.
Tile.
Tile. That's it,
tile
Mr.
work.
Tile. And no, the blind sniper. He's
Yep,
the blind
him too.
sniper.
Yeah, same guy.
Yeah. The blind sniper. Come off mute. Share your pain. Blind sniper. Flat.
He definitely
level,
had
tile.
He definitely
Coriolis effects is the blind sniper.
Okay, he's typing in the chat. You don't want it. Get my name right. I don't have pain. Oh, he's off mute. Here we go. Blind sniper. Hello. Oh, you're just teasing us. Ollie, oxen free. Blind sniper. Oh, he's off mute again. He might have problems talking or something. I'll tell you what, virus, jump back in
We
again.
can hear him. His volume is really low. Just crank him.
Tell them about how math is reality, dude. That's funny when you talk about that.
Try again.
Or about your belief that math is reality. Humans didn't invent it to describe reality.
Hold on a second, Don. Can you guys hear him in Discord?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't hear him.
I can't hear a thing.
Yeah, I can't hear him either.
Akum, leave and rejoin.
All right,
Dawn,
he left.
you just nominated yourself. What did you say?
And the other guy, Cumuvirus, he's got an argument that math is reality and it was there before humans invented it to describe reality. He thinks math was there from the beginning.
Okay, he's back.
Wow.
Like quite
He's
a
back.
point of view.
He is back. Go ahead and say something, virus.
Is he going to be taken off server mute? Yeah, he has. Right, try again.
Yeah, we can hear him, but you guys can't.
Why is that?
How come is it they can't hear me, but everybody else can?
Yeah, we can.
Oh,
now.
there you are.
Goes.
There you go. All right. Well, now, what question do you have for me? Because, yeah, what's up? Because I don't have no pain to share, because I'm not feeling any pain from this show whatsoever.
Why do you think math was there before humans, when it's literally a language humans made up to describe reality?
Get him.
Because I believe symbols are humanly made up, not the math.
Math is the symbols, right?
Repeat?
Math is the symbols.
No, it's not. The numbers are the symbols. That's
But
why there's
without that,
that's
all
why
you've
there's
got
one.
is all you've
That's why
got is
there's one.
distances.
All
right, one at a time.
Unmeasured
Hold on,
stuff.
hold on, Dawn. Hold on, Dawn. Go ahead, virus.
I said that's why there's a one, there's a uno, there's an ichi. That's because the symbols are made up.
Without that, you've just got objects. That's not math, is it? That's just things, stuff.
That means you have a math that you can't communicate without the symbols.
That's just things, then, isn't it?
It's math without symbols to communicate with.
Objects don't equal math.
Anything that represents anything that comes into our dimension, 3-dimensional space has math in it. Anything that has a dimension has math to it.
Or has math in it.
Regardless of anybody's there to interpret it or whatever, it's there.
That's just saying stuff has dimensions, pretty much, isn't it?
Everything has dimensions to it.
Pattern. Yeah, if you're saying inherently stuff has dimensions to be measured, then yeah, I agree.
Why don't you read what I just posted about mathematics in the
Hold
chat?
on, just Virus and Dawn.
Just post.
No,
Just read
cool. I
what
just
I
wanted to bring up the topic because that's what he was into.
Doing really well, Dawn.
Yeah, I'm a math major. I love math. That's how I see the world.
If you're a math major, you're currently having your ass handed to you by Dawn.
Yep.
What Dawn's saying?
Well, Dawn's saying essentially that just because something can be quantified doesn't mean that it is that thing until someone comes along and quantifies it. And you're saying, well, it still can be quantified, therefore always has that quantifiability as part of its inherent nature. That's the argument as I understand it as it stands. Well, based on that, Dawn's battered you. Because, no, until someone comes along and actually applies those concepts to whatever you're measuring, it
applies those symbols, yes.
Well, yeah, well, that's Dawn's point. Until someone comes and applies it.
There. The measurements are still there regardless if anybody can communicate it or not. It's still there.
Yeah,
the size of an object is always the size of an object, regardless if anybody is there to interpret it.
No, but size is an arbitrary concept that you will apply to it. Dawn's point being that it's got to be applied by a person. So, yeah, Dawn's right.
Regardless of anybody's there or not, it still exists.
You sure about that? Are you sure about that?
I mean, I'm welcome to, you can welcome to give an example for me if you want. I mean, I don't mind an example. Challenge me. I don't care.
Well, it's a principle of quantum mechanics.
I don't do quantum mechanics. I only do math.
Okay, fair enough.
I guess if you're arguing stuff inherently has stuff that can be quantified in the future, then yeah, I agree. But I wouldn't call that math inherently in stuff.
I call it math because that's really what it is. When we see it, it's going to be math. So it's already there to me. So that's math.
You're in agreement then.
We just don't have symbols to apply to it. We discover the symbols to apply to it. We make our own symbols to apply to it, but it's still there.
Then you're in
regardless
agreement.
of what symbols you use, it's still the same thing.
You are in agreement because you keep using the word you, which is Dawn's point.
Yeah, because I can't speak for everybody else when it comes to that. Not everybody sees the world like me.
No, but colloquially, you meaning when applied.
Me just means me. Regardless if anybody is there to apply it, it is still there, ready to be discovered.
So you're not using the usual math is a description definition.
It is.
But you need a describer, don't you, to describe. So for that definition, you need someone there.
Something, if you're ready to describe something, regardless if anybody's there or not, it is waiting to be described by somebody. It is there already, ready to be described.
I've got goosebumps, Dawn. You're talking in quantum mechanical principles, and he's talking mathematics. This is quite something.
Yes, it is.
I'm just doing this semantic game. He can call it math if he wants, but I think math means us describing stuff with our symbols.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. But the thing is, regardless of if it has symbols or not, it's still there waiting to be discovered. Okay, let's say the Indians wasn't here before Christopher Columbus. This America would still be here waiting for him to be discovered, regardless if anybody knows about it or not. It's still ready to be discovered. It's the same thing.
Get him, Don. Get him, Don.
Please get him.
I'll just run to the kitchen. Someone else can help me.
God, people being loud over. I'm sorry about the background noise.
I got a question for you. Is there math in mathematics?
You said is there math in mathematics?
Yeah, is it there in mathematics when no one's there?
The first four letters is math itself. Math is in everything.
That's right. So if it's in everything, so there must be math in mathematics. So give us the math for mathematics.
It's the first four letters of the word.
Don wrote me. He said, "Don't paradox him."
Nice.
I love
dog.
paradoxes.
Yeah, somebody wrote, what is the equation for math?
That's perfect.
There is no equation for math.
And with that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you. In fact, before I do this round out, I'm going to say I don't think I've ever been prouder of Dawn Treader. I mean, you literally gave me goosebumps. That was quite something. But a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the Nathan Oakley premiering stream for tuning in, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely join. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!